everybody, and welcome to Nerdsplaining Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Da Silva. With me, as always, my co-host, Jose Romero.
Greetings, salutations, nerds around the world. We are back, better than ever. Very excited because I know Eric is eagerly anticipating, just weeks away from the release of Craven. I'm sure he can't wait, like many of us out there, for Sony's next great masterpiece.
I'm getting my chest waxed so I can have the Craven chest with the jacket and the
fur,
with the lion eyes and the mane. I'm doing all of it, baby. I'm going in. I mean, I don't know if Craven has a gut or not, but in this cosplay, he will. So, just saying.
It's a strange world we live in. We can't get Blade, but we get Craven. I don't know what to say, dude. It is what it is.
It's like vampires, but with Russians.
Exactly. And what was it in the trailer? Was it
Rhino? There's a rhino?
Blood? Was it blood?
Oh, it's a lion blood.
Lion blood. Okay, I thought I was saying spider for a second.
According to this remake of a reboot of a reinterpretation of a first-time character, it's lion blood that makes him... Okay, look. Full disclosure. Ultimate Craven does get his body mutated, so he becomes half man, half lion. But this Craven, it does not mutate.
At least
getting some sort of magic blood transplant, and he got lion-ish powers.
I am curious about this, and what were we, the 19th, November 20th, whatever. So hopefully I'll get to see this soon. So I think the 13th is the release date on this one, so I'm not sure.
Listen, I need to know, do I take my kids to Craven? Do I take them to go see Sonic 3? It's probably going to be Sonic 3. Let's be honest.
Come on, dude. Really?
So, yeah.
Come on. Both Sony.
Keanu,
both
baby.
Sony, by the way.
Keanu.
What? Both Sony, by the way. With Sonic and look at it, two potentially, well, one good Sony movie and one whatever Sony movie. I don't know.
Listen,
50-50, that's not bad. Batting 500.
I told you before. Until further notice, Sonic is the best video game franchise out there today.
It's a sad statement.
3 for 3. If 2 for 2, it might be going 3 for 3. They might pull off the hat trick.
I'll hold my breath on that one. It's very possible. Don't get me wrong. It is very possible. Craven's a bonus at this point since we do get Sonic, so it's fine, whatever.
Sure.
But
sure.
What Sony doesn't have is the Penguin.
It's true.
And none of us have the Penguin anymore, apparently, because it's over.
It's over.
Done.
It's dead in the water.
Last episode, we haven't spoken in a couple weeks. But yeah, last episode dropped. And did it stick the landing for you there?
Not only did it stick the landing, but it assumed that Penguin pose when he puts his arms out and his little white belly. Like it stuck the Penguin landing. It was, first of all, I want to take 2 victory laps because the 2 of my predictions came out true. Vic dies. Penguin killed him.
You have that, but yeah.
And Penguin is confirmed to have a weird Oedipus complex about his mom. Called that on me. No one else on the internet talked about it. This guy did. Again, nailing predictions no one sees.
Yeah, that is justice for Vic, man. Pobrecito Vic.
Heartbreaking.
We had talked about him potentially dying or whatever, and I guess the entire episode, went through, and then they're with his mom in the hospital, whatever. And I'm like, oh, he's obviously not dying, and then. Man, I didn't think they're gonna do that. It's one of those that we talked about last time, where just when they kind of make you sympathize or even like the Penguin. They know what they're doing and say, guys, this is still a villain at the end of the day. You should not like this guy, right?
The Penguin is the anti-Fast and the Furious. It's not all about.
It's not about family. Apparently, it's anti-family. That's the breaking point. Because that was like, man, that was brutal. I was like, oh. Damn, that's messed up. But I mean,
the minute Vic goes, "You're like family," I went, "Oh no!" I was like, I immediately thought what he did to his brothers. I'm like, "Oh, that's the worst thing to tell this dude."
I mean, every time they show this such a good job of knowing what it's supposed to accomplish, right? And every time you think, okay, we're rooting for him, I'm rooting for him. The brother thing, and obviously that thing with Vic, and it's like, man, this guy is he's set up so well now as the main guy in Gotham, whatever. It's see the Bats thing though. We know that you have to get some sort of Batman at anything, and it did, so it's good.
Yeah.
But now it's like, man, now you really want to see, because I've heard obviously he's going to be in the next film, obviously probably both of them. The man behind the man, the man behind the man kind of deal, or whatever.
Sure. Absolutely.
Pulling the strings, but yeah, dude, man, what a great setup of a villain this was. Dude, at the end of the day, it really was so well done.
And they took a lot of stuff that worked with like what would you call sort of like the street leveling of Batman. You know, when you kind of pull away from like the Burgess Meredith
Mm-hmm.
of it all to sort of like the very like you pull away from the Danny DeVito of it all, and you're making it very much more Frank Miller, like grimy.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I would pull it. Ed Brubaker esque in a sense. And there's even a storyline in it, like an Elseworlds for Batman Earth One, and in that world, the Penguin is the mayor of Gotham, and they kind of seeded a little bit of that like
Yeah,
potentiality
yeah.
there. When he's talking to the congressman, he's like, "All you gotta do is give him bad guy. You point him the way, and you get to be the
Which it
hero."
would
Like,
be an interesting way to go. Maybe by the third film, I assume he's not one and done, or two and done. He's gonna be there for
yeah, no,
the entirety of whatever that Batman run would be, 3 films or whatever. So that would be interesting though. Him like
I'll tell you the
kind of, almost
thing
like
that
Kingpin and
caught my
Daredevil, right? Didn't he? The same thing kind of.
yeah,
Thing?
or Kingpin
Yeah.
became the mayor of
Right,
New
right.
York as well.
Yeah.
So like you have that
Mm-hmm.
potential to make that work. I'll tell you one thing that as I was sitting there taking in the episode, and by the way, another prediction I had too. I said they're gonna mind screw Penguin's mom to the point that she's gonna try to kill her son. Nail that one too. She stabbed him. Luckily, much like the Kingpin, his fat saved the day. If that dude was a buck 06, he would have died
We're
right then
gonna
and
wrap right
there.
there, right?
Absolutely. So good on you for packing in those
Yeah.
cheeseburgers, my boy. You did it. That's fat guy survival tactic 101 right there. Protect the midsection with an extra layer with organic bulletproofing. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Good on you.
she thored him. You got to aim for the head.
Oh yeah.
Got to aim for the head,
Oh
dude.
yeah. Should have gone for the
Come
head.
on.
Absolutely.
At least the heart, I
But
guess.
I will say this as I'm sitting taking in that whole episode, and it was a really good
Yeah,
episode. Like let's
sure.
this was like a 9.2 of an episode, like really, really good. Any quabbles I have are superficial, but they're mine. But overall, you can't take away how good this
No,
is.
right.
Sticking the landing, major excited if there was a second season
Of
or
course.
the movie itself.
Yes, and this made you more
All of it's
exactly
great.
did a good job of getting more excited for whatever's coming next. I mean, it's gonna be Batman 2. Now you really want to see what Conor
Right.
Farrell can do.
Got him into
Yeah.
a comic book accurate outfit, like all
Yeah,
of
it
it,
was cool.
with even
Yeah.
with the top hat. I was like, great, super
Yeah.
excited. And I'm just sitting there taking all this and taking in the journey from beginning to end. I was thinking when they showed the map of Gotham, it's supposed to be like on an offshoot of New Jersey. And I started thinking, why doesn't Batman sound like a dude from New Jersey? Like, hey, I'm the fucking Batman over here. Like, he should have a Jersey accent. Because Penguin's got a Jersey accent. He's like, hey, I'm the Batman. What do you want to do? You got to put in the wrong guy. You got what you're going to do. And I'm like, oh my God, I would love Batman. Like, hey, I'm the fucking Batman. Oh, what do you want? You want to fight me? Well, I'm right here. Let's do something. Like I'm the fucking knight. Like I wanted something like that. So I'm like, if Batman 2, he doesn't Jersey shore it up a bit, I'm gonna feel disappointed, Gotham. You're right there.
They raised the bar. They raised the bar.
Tell me the Joker would not be more intimidating, sounding like a dude from Jersey.
No,
It just everybody from Gotham should have a Jersey accent. That's my point to this little rant. Is like as they thought about it, you got to make it geographically accurate. So
that's true. That's a fair point. I mean, but I'll say this because this last episode, I think, really elevated the whole show, right? I was liking it before, like really, like now it's like, oh, that's not really stick the landing, right? We complain about a lot of shows, not just Marvel. A lot of shows can't just get that last couple episodes right for whatever reason, whatever, and to nail it like that, it's impressive, man. That's good work. It's good work.
I got to tell you, there's been a lot of misses this year. Like for example, Jake Paul and Tyson. A lot of misses this year. A lot of disappointments for other things that,
Brutal.
by the way, this is the second time because of the Jake Paul Tyson fight. This is the second time this year where I was like, why isn't the annoying white guy losing? So, 2 times this year, I've had to, whatever. But all that being said, there's been some serious good things. Deadpool Wolverine.
Oh, of course.
Season finale of Penguin. And even I will say it, Agatha all along stuck the landing, solid. Like it was a. There's been a lot of misses, but when things are hitting, they're hitting good. And I know we're not going to talk about it yet, but if just the first 2/3 of the new Arcane
Yeah,
series,
we'll
fucking
wait. I mean, that's
yeah,
I'm
I know.
excited
But I'm
because
just saying, so far
so
so
far
good.
it's
I'm
great.
really enjoying the
Of course,
pacing.
absolutely, it's great. That's such a good show, and I can't wait to like see how it all comes
Dive
together in
into
the
it.
end, right?
We're probably next week. We'll
Yeah,
probably
because I
dive
mean
into it. So
this
yeah,
is going to be the last season of Arcane,
yeah,
so talk
exactly.
about having to stick the landing. It's even more important
Yeah,
of
yeah,
a
yeah.
series finale than the season finale.
Uh-huh.
But so far it's been set up great. I can't wait to talk about that. When it's finally done this
No
weekend.
notes.
Um, no what? I'm sorry.
No notes. No
Oh,
notes on Arcane. No notes. Everything is digging where they're going. Yeah.
absolutely. This is phenomenal show. It's such a good show. It really is. Let's stick with DC. Cause this is interesting. I read this today. Frank Grillo. I didn't even know Frank Grillo is in the DCU now.
Oh yeah.
I totally forgot. Maybe I heard and just didn't think about it. Of course, he's playing Red Flag. Red Flag.
Rick
Rick
Flag
Flag. I
Senior.
said Red Flag. Senior, right? In the Superman movie.
Senior.
Um,
Right.
but yes, which I didn't know. Okay, I like Frank Grillo because he was in. And he's one of the few that's going to be both in MCU and DC. You don't see that very often.
That's very
Yeah.
true. He was
Yeah,
Crossbones,
Crossbones.
and now he's Rick Flag Senior,
Exactly.
and he's also going to be in Creature Commandos.
Oh, right. Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's right. He's doing
So
voiceover work.
he's having a banner year
Yeah.
of really coming in and with this 1-2 punch.
No, yeah.
And I was actually just watching an interview with him, and he was talking about the Rick Flag you see in Creature Commandos is a little bit before Suicide Squad, and then Superman is after Suicide Squad.
Okay.
So you're gonna see a different tone.
Okay.
So I was like, that's kind of cool. I'm looking to see what that's going to be like.
I totally forgot. I'm sure I don't think he has a big role in Superman, but he obviously will be.
Oh, and he's also in Peacemaker season 2 as well.
He will be Peacemaker, which makes total sense.
Right.
Which we're all excited about.
You got it.
Speaking of good shows. But I guess he was talking, he was doing an interview, whatever, and he came out, and I guess he got a chance to get a sneak peek at the trailer for Superman, of course, the movie that he's in, and. We'll take this with a grain of salt because he is involved in the project. So what is he gonna say? This is the shittiest thing I've ever seen? No, of course not.
He's in 3 projects, all involved in the same character. He's gonna be like dogging it, like, this is hot garbage.
It looked that good, man.
I'm gonna fire my agent.
This is the worst. Going back to MCU, but he's like, this is a direct quote. My skin was hot and I had goosebumps. That's how great it is. The trailer that he saw, well, a portion of the trailer he saw. Again, high praise, and that's cool. It does kind of like. It's hard to kind of like get excited because how many people who heard people involved in this saying how great it is, and it's not. But we trust James Gunn, right? And he could have just said it looks very cool. He went over the top, so maybe I don't know what to think of this. But
well, I mean, but put it this way. He's done with Marvel right now. Like his character's dead. End game.
Right, yeah.
He's done. So this looks like his next big commitment. If everything plays out,
right.
Rick Flag has the potential of being their Nick Fury.
Yeah, that's something. Yeah, of course.
So what better way to hard sell this to guarantee you at least another 2 to 4 years of work at least?
He's doing it, whether it's true or not. He's doing the right thing. That's what I'm saying.
This is what he's supposed. Like
I said, I don't fault him for saying it. He's again, what else? What can you say? You have to, obviously promote your own film, right? It makes sense. Be good with the bosses. I understand that completely.
Got to be a company man at this point.
I get it, right? Man's got to eat, right? So hey, I understand that. But for the fans, it's like okay, maybe, right? Maybe. But I know that trailer is obviously it's ready. We're already getting close to December. I think that's the kind of sweet spot for a trailer drop in December.
Absolutely.
Right? That's what I'm thinking. Absolutely. It makes kind of sense if we're going to do that,
Maybe in front of a Kraven the Hunter.
Well, I don't know about all that. Maybe the best part of that movie, you know what? Put it on there because that could be the best thing you see in that. You see it. Okay, I'm walking out now. But not even because the trailer goes online. So, 20 years ago, maybe that would be a good selling point.
See, we just showed our age. Go to the movie to watch the trailer.
We had those times back in the day. Like, we're going to see a movie.
Episode 1, anybody? Yeah. Anybody remember?
Episode 1, I think they showed. Well, not in because the internet was still very slow. So I had to, to download that trailer took like 10 years. But yes, we were showing our age here. But there was a time when the trailers were exciting in the theater. Not anymore. I think Chris Nolan still holds that. He will still show his trailer before it goes online, like weeks before.
Yeah.
He's one of the
Yeah.
few. But yeah, we're gonna get to see
Because
some.
he has that clout. He can pull that
Of
off.
course, yeah. Like
Yeah.
I said, not many people can do that. He can, and well deserved. But yeah, no one else can. I think studios will want to, but they'll give him the opportunity because he brings in money and prestige. So, I get
There you
it.
go.
I get it. But yeah, so let's see. I'm hoping that thing drops pretty soon. I would assume. Um, and speaking, and James Gunn is directing Superman. He actually came out and he talked about other projects he might do. He's still contemplating between a few projects that's out there. He's not sure what he's going to really direct anyway. He'll be involved in all of them, of course. He's the head of the studio. But as far as directing personally, he is going to choose another project out of the few that's out there. I don't know what that is yet. But he did talk about, Peacemaker and rated R, this thing, and Future Commandos is rated R. I know it's animation, but still counts.
Sure.
But he's saying that there's other more R-rated movies that are in development at the DCU. So that's very interesting. I don't know if that's good or bad. I haven't quite figured out
Well, I
if it's
mean,
good or bad.
right from the jump from what you talked about, that Bane Deathstroke movie should totally be
If
rated
that's
R.
a, if that's always been, I'm not sure that's official, but if that's something like that, yeah. I mean, listen, for me personally, I think for us because we like the heavier the hitter, the better. I would like to see rated R stuff, right? Because that's just
Absolutely.
better for me. I like more mature stuff and really, really hammering it home. But from the studio overall big picture, I don't know if that's a good idea because you want DC, particularly if we like it. The Suicide Squad, James Gunn's version, is a great example of this. Where I love that movie, right? We both love it.
Yeah.
Highly praised,
Great
yada
movie.
yada, but it bombed for whatever reason.
Well, but also I don't count that as a bomb because it came out in a very weird
It came
time.
at a weird time, but it did really bad even for that time.
It got great
But
reviews and it got great numbers on
but it
streaming.
got great
That's what saved
reviews.
it.
But it didn't do well because Deadpool is a rarity, right? To do that kind of business,
Right.
that's not common, right? And the superhero genre is primarily for family. That's where you draw the most money. As a business, you want to draw in the most money. It just is, right? And when you're trying to start the DCU, you want to get off on the right foot, right?
Yeah.
Be here, and then start veering off core, do rated R stuff. You start there too soon. I may alienate. I would like it better. I'm just talking about the overall health of the studio.
Put it this way. I'll give an example. I recently met someone who was not a big, they're a video game person, not a movie person. So I discovered they're really into music, and I was like, all right, if you're really into music, I'm gonna recommend a movie, and then you tell me if you like this movie. And I recommended the very first Guardians of the Galaxy, which they had not seen. They watched it like, dude, great. Needle drops, action comedy.
Of
Loved it. I
course,
was like, well, because you like this, I'm not going to recommend you Guardian of the Galaxy 2 and 3. They're like, this is 2 and 3. I was like, calm down. You'll get to it when you get to it.
let them get to it.
Watch The Suicide Squad and tell me what you think. They watch that, like, dude, even better. And I'm like, then I was like, great. Guess what? You are a James Gunn fan. You're not a superhero movie fan. You're a James Gunn fan. And that's good. That's a good place to be. It's a good place to start. But they said they like both equally for different tones, which leads me to believe in a more available market like we have now versus when the Suicide Squad came out, it would do way better. And I think that's going to be the advantage that James is going to have
Maybe
with his movies
there's
coming
too
out
many
as well.
factors. I mean, DCU was not in a good place, so that's always a fact. Who knows? But
Right.
but again, you're trying to establish something. It's money. I'd make them all rated R. I don't mind. I'm not complaining about it. I'm
Sure.
looking from the studio standpoint. If it doesn't succeed, and we get some of these movies which we love, and now James Gunn's ousted because they ain't making money, that sucks.
Right.
And that's the point of view I'm coming from, right? Like I don't want this to go down just because the viewership was not there because kids couldn't get or whatever, right?
I think it should be 50-50.
Oh
I think
no, ooh
PG-13
no.
R.
PG-13 and
50-50.
maybe one R, maybe 10 films.
I disagree.
At this
I think
point,
it should be like if you do 10 movies, 5 PG-13, 5 R.
nah, that's not gonna work. It's
I,
just
I
again, and I agree with it. I think it should be 100% R. It really should. But
I know because Superman shouldn't be R.
but if maybe you can 99%. But if you're sitting in the studio right now, there's no way in hell you ever say that. Not in a million fucking years. Or you're gonna be
I don't think Justice
or
League should be an R movie either.
but that's fine.
So
But even 50-50, no one ahead of studio ever says that. Not one ever in the history of the will ever agree to that. Nobody. Or you're working for Sony because you got fired from wherever you're at. It's just, but yes, but I'm just like I said, I'm not saying it shouldn't be rated R. I'm just saying it's a bad move financially to do it. spending financially to make rated R like that for these superhero films. These are family movies. There's a 4 quadrant film is what they call them, right? They
Sure.
want to draw. They're putting in 300 minutes. These budgets are ridiculous. Let's be honest. And they want to draw as much money as possible, right? You're not going to spend $300 million on a rated R film. It's bad business. You know, with Deadpool, it's an established character, and that was a one-off. That's an anomaly, right? Generally speaking, these rated R movies just don't do as well because you just can't draw in the same crowds numerically, and that's what I'm saying, right? Make them because I like them. I'm for it, but I want DC to thrive and continue, so we continue getting good James Gunn shit.
So what would be your ratio?
I'll say 1 out of 10.
Really, 1 out of
10?
10?
Like the rare character that may not be involved in the big picture of the DCU, and you can do like Deadpool is a great example, right? It's a perfect example where Deadpool does not show up anymore in MCU anymore, and we'll be fine. We're not. It's all good, right? If he's on his own doing his own thing, we'll go and watch it in droves, as was proven just a few months ago, right? Obviously, that works. That really works. So you can do 9 films of whatever, do the 1 rated R film, and TV doesn't count. I mean, Peacemaker's rated R, but that's TV. That's a different story, right? Different audience though.
Those Penguin's
right,
rated
exactly.
R too.
It's a different audience, right? But yeah, as far as the films, now because TV, you know, people, if you have HBO Max, where you watch Penguin or not, HBO Max has your money. They don't care, right? That means they want it to be viewed, but the movies you have to go actually purchase the ticket. That's a different story. So I say 1, maybe 2 out of 10, maybe. You know, I mean, from a financial standpoint, personally, I say 90% of it are, but that's just me, right? That's just us. We're old.
I guess so. Personally, I would say 50-50, but even to your calculation, I feel like there should be a larger, like I feel like a compromise number to me would be 3 out of 10 rated R.
It depends on the films. It all depends. Well, I know like right now, of
what
we know right now,
right,
I can see Lobo and what I know we heard Swamp Thing or another project.
Swamp Thing, The Suicide Squad, a sequel to that.
Potentially,
that's rated
but that's
R again.
more down the road. That's talking about it. Just
announced
officially. I would say Lobo. Well, Lobo hasn't been announced yet, to be fair.
Right.
So, but that would be one. But as far as
the rumor, like Lobo, if they did the Bane, Deathstroke, that should be rated R.
Of course, and I guess
stuff like that. If they did John Constantine, definitely rated R.
If that's, but the only one we know for sure that's been announced and we know it's coming out, Swamp Thing. That's the only one I would say do that R.
Right. Absolutely.
That's the only one. And you can do it less than that. But I'm saying if you're gonna go all out, depends on the tone. If you're trying to go for a more grittier, more little horror-esque vibe, make it R. If it's more on the campy side, which is fine, you don't have to. But if I would like to see a darker the Swamp Thing, that's just me.
Absolutely, a darker Swamp Thing is what
works. I think
something that, but yeah, especially with Marvel doing Man Thing a little bit lighter, pivot and make your Swamp Thing to show the difference in compare characters instead of just the aesthetic.
Right, but that's the only one right now I'll say rated R. That's been that we know is coming out. Not counting Creature Commandos. Again, it's not the same thing, and I get that. I don't think a lot of people are probably gonna watch Creature Commandos.
It's animated and it's a series, so
it's different. It's exactly different. So, but let's see. I mean, but again, I like that approach. I think they're not afraid of going R. Right, I like the approach. I just watch that ratio is all I'm saying, right, from a financial standpoint. Sure. And once they get to a certain point where they're like Marvel, where they can just, even the shitty movies kind of still make money, not as much, but they still kind of make money.
Right.
You have the credit with the audience. Okay, they'll go and watch radar films, but you got to build it. You got to get there first. And that's my point.
You got to build.
Let's get there. They're in a really bad spot. Penguin helps, but this starts with Superman. We know this.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
This starts and could end with Superman. Let's be honest. Hopefully starts, but it could end also. That's the one.
You hear that, Frank Grillo? Your character better knock out of the park out of Creature Commandos to really sell your appearance.
It's on you, man. It's all on him. If it fails, we know who to blame. That's all I'm saying, dude. Sorry, you're the fall guy, right? If you will, the scapegoat would be Grillo. Let's move on from one, at least hopefully successful franchise to a disaster franchise. And what's more disaster than our dear folks at Lucasfilm? So we got a couple bit of news. We'll start with the news that should surprise nobody, right?
Nobody.
So we heard about the Ray film or potential Ray film. The writer left and whatever. They're scrambling around. And we'll get a little more into what this means in the raw picture as new news came out from the new Star Wars stuff. But the movie was slated for the December 26th. Right, that was the date that they had saved on the calendar.
Right.
No more. That's been removed off the schedule completely. They replaced it with oh my god, Ice Age or something. I think a new Ice Age. That's so
Yeesh.
sad. It got moved for Ice Age. Ice Age 20 by this point. That's a bad place for Star Wars to be in, right? I think it's Ice Age. I forget.
What happened? Could they not squeeze out another Madagascar?
Yeah,
And
it
have to
was,
go
it
to
was
Ice
an
Age?
animated film. It may not be Ice, but it's an animated film. But either way, neither here nor there. But yeah, so it removed it from there. So what does that mean? This movie is not gonna get made. It's not. It's sorry,
Wow.
it's not.
Wow, wow,
But
wow.
are we surprised? Let's be honest. Are we really surprised that this happened?
No,
Of course
no,
not.
we're not. No,
Why would
no.
we be? I'd be surprised if it came out in December of 2026. I really would be. So now that pushes whatever date for the next film to at least 2027, which would be 8 years from the last film. Because again, I'm not really
Wow.
counting Mandalorian as much because it's a TV.
Right.
I know it counts, but it doesn't count. But in terms of pure original,
They also have a built-in audience that's going to be interested in the story already, which
right?
is very different than what's going
Exactly.
on
It's not
over
like
here.
an original new or whatever you want to call it. So it's gonna be at least 8 years, maybe 10. Who knows? I will say this though, because maybe the rate cancellation, because this kind of blends into the next story which you mentioned now. And that's because they announced a development of a new trilogy, right?
Right.
They tapped Simon Kinberg, who is no stranger to Star Wars. He was involved in Rebels.
Right.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
He was involved
Good.
in Logan and X-Men and all that stuff. He did direct Dark
Right.
Phoenix.
Listen,
But he's not directing here.
he's not directing
He's
it.
writing.
Right.
I mean, he's
He's
done
not
other
directing
bad
it.
projects. Don't get me wrong. He's not.
It's like David Goyer, great writer, but don't get him to direct vampires.
No, exactly. But I mean, some stuff he's done has been good. But at least he's familiar with it. He's a Star Wars guy.
Right.
So he's been tapped to write and produce a new trilogy. Details have kind of been scarce. I did hear things that it may still involve Rey in some capacity, and I'm sure people read that. She'll be like the new Obi-Wan of this series or whatever you want to call it. I don't know how I feel about that. I'll say this. I'm asking you, Eric. Let's assume this trilogy is going to move forward. We'll assume yes for now, because I have a feeling we know it's going to happen in a year now. Should this be a brand new thing, or are you okay with them? Okay, including Rey and whatever story they're doing as a continuation of the past trilogy.
It depends, and I feel really bad for saying this, but if Rey's character could be called Oh No Kenobi,
Narmin, sold.
no. I mean, listen. I'll be honest. In the beginning, in episode 8, or 7,
The first,
I
right.
yeah, I liked the character of Rey. I was like really excited about her. I was like, the potential she had when they introduced her was exciting.
Fair.
When she found Luke on the island and was getting ready to hand his lightsaber in that moment, like there was so much great potential that could have been, and then got squandered because miscommunications and making it up on the fly and no
Bad
clear
writing, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
For sure.
So could you, if you took a big break off of all that, goes, we're going to hit this 30 years in the future, and the way things are going, it might actually be 30 years in the future. But
fair.
So if you do an older Rey who's rebuilt the Jedi Order, and depending how that Mandalorian movie goes, hopefully Grogu will be there teaching her along the way too. Yeah. Like co-leading, like instead of just a Yoda, but like a Grogu and a Rey co-leading this new Jedi Order. It has a lot of potential. You kind of take it from the idea of making it all about Rey's. You're like, Rey's done the stuff, but the cool thing is by doing this big time jump, you could set up Rey's done the stuff, but she's developed enemies. The Jedi Order is accepted by a lot of it, but they've crossed certain forces that maybe figured out this is their time to strike for whatever reason. You could tell a really cool story about that, about something that's about, like, you're about to hit your stride, and that's when your biggest challenge happens, because there's a force that doesn't want you to be firmly planted. Like you're about to, it's almost like NATO. Like there's right before a country joins NATO, there's a lot of tension before that country gets to join NATO, because if you join NATO, now we can't go get our business into you. So we got to strike now before you're in NATO. and that kind of geopolitical problem with maybe a swashbuckling adventure backdrop, you have something really interesting there. You can't make it boring like real
Oh
politics,
no, no,
but you can make it dangerous like real politics, and that's what you got to do to make this work. That could be really cool. Any other thing, you're just sort of slow dancing. It's like a lot of movement without moving forward, and then it's just a waste of
I
time.
mean, it's interesting because I mean, I'm looking through his resume now in terms of a writer. Right, he did direct um, Dark Phoenix, and then we called it 355, which is not a good movie. But he wrote, he's Triple X State of the Union.
That sounds like a money job. That don't
That's his first thing he wrote. Then he did Mr. and Mrs. Smith, which I really liked.
good
X
movie.
Men: The Last Stand.
And that went
Mm,
through a lot of chops. Like
his own Sherlock Holmes, with Downey Jr.
fun,
That's fine.
right?
Days of Future Past, fantastic.
Great.
Fantastic Four, X Men Apocalypse,
Yes.
Dark Phoenix. He also wrote, and then Star Wars Rebels, the 355, which is not good. He recently did Invasion, the show on Apple Plus, which I do not like, and the TV show Mr. and Mrs. Smith, which is decent.
I actually like this the TV. I like the TV show more than I expected. I'll
I
say
think the TV
that.
show they should just called it non-invasion because we didn't get to see anything for 25 episodes.
I haven't watched Invasion, okay, but I'm saying
It's really
Mr. and
bad.
Mrs. Smith, I liked way more than
No,
I
Mr.
expected.
Yeah,
To like.
did like that one. That was a good show. So he's up and down. So it's not
Right.
exactly like, oh, I could slam dunk. Yes, I mean Kinberg,
Sure.
whatever.
It sounds like a lot of Simon Kinberg's scripts fall heavily on the talent associated with it and then the director. If you get the right
Of course,
director, it'll propel.
agree. I mean, any direct. I mean, not every
Well,
not every script is
if you
going to
think
be
about it,
great, but
like
a good director, two directors can take the same script and give it two different
it,
films, no doubt,
that's what
no
I'm
doubt.
saying. Like, think about some of these movies, like X-Men: The Last Stand. That's a whole director problem right there. That's
Well, the
you
little
know, like
writing too. It wasn't a great story of the Phoenix Saga. It really wasn't.
well,
To be fair,
I forgot where I was listening to where they, the original pitch and then what where Brett Ratner wanted to make it afterwards was so the kind. That's why I give him a little bit of a
sure.
leeway on that one because of the situation at
Like I
hand.
said, it's possible, no doubt, but we don't know. But it's on his resume. What do you get judge it by what the end
Sure.
product is? It is what it is. But listen, so he's up and down. But I did hear, we talked about what my contact told me about the head chickens cut off running around Lucasfilm,
Right.
and I heard another story about that recently. They were talking about it, and it's just solidifying what I had known. I had told you months ago. It's a disaster. They really don't know what direction. Even the whole Steinberg Kimber thing. Some people on board, some aren't. It's like, what are we doing here? You know what I'm saying? It's like we don't know what the hell's going on. The Ray, maybe the essential character, she may not. So they're bringing someone on board without, again, the major issue. They don't have any direction. You tell Simon Kimber, this is where we want to go. This is what we want. Now go right. It seems like they're bringing men and say, give us something and then we'll see. That's not the right approach.
You're right.
It's just, what are we doing?
You need
Something.
once again. We've talked about this. Big franchises, especially
Of
multiple tiered
course.
franchises,
Yes.
you need a Feige to go, this is the
Right. This is
goal.
what we're trying to
What can
accomplish.
we do to get through
Right.
this
This is the
goal?
story we want to tell. This is some of the characters. Because they were saying, and this is a big article I was reading, a ridiculous article. I guess talking about how hard it is to do like a Star Wars film because you have to rely on these legacy characters only to make it successful on nostalgia. Nonsense. I don't buy the force. How many movies come out? I guess movies come out with new characters we all love. It happens all the time. Write a good character. That's it. Right? You don't
And
have
here's
to
the thing.
rely on the same old same old. You don't have to do that.
Think of it this way. How did those Star Wars characters become legacy characters? They were
They were
new
new.
and they were done so
That's what I'm
well, we
saying.
all liked them.
Exactly. It's very possible. This is not. Yeah, nostalgia is always going to be, and I get it. But you can go move forward without with creating new stuff. It was a bunch of non that they were talking about that, and I was like, that makes no sense to me. I think that's
Very
erroneous.
I disagree with that
Yeah,
100%.
Like get out of here. It's not. If that means if you're incapable of doing it, fair enough. So get someone else who is capable of writing a
Yeah.
good character. You can write a good. I guess that Force Awakens that was a good start. It ended like shit, but at least they got started and they gave us some new characters. It's very derivative, but still we got Rey was new, Finn was new, Boyega's character was new, and they worked initially. It's just the follow through was terrible. But
Yeah.
Lucasfilm's a disaster. I can't understand why Kathleen Kennedy. I don't get it. I I don't know, man. And it goes back to Taika stuff. Sure, if you say so. Patty Jenkins, if you say so. With James Mango, okay. We've heard not a peep about any of these projects except that the announcement, was made, and then it, this
And
is like MCU. It happened with Blade, right? But it's rare for the MCU.
right,
These kind of issues. It's all Blade with Star Wars. It's one big Blade
yeah, it's a
in a
whole
galaxy far, far away.
bladification of an entire universe
Exactly.
is Star Wars at this
It's a
point.
disaster. It really is. It sucks.
We've talked, and I've championed this. Rogue Squadron is a good idea,
Of course.
and you
Agreed.
could make that.
Agreed.
And if you're like, we don't want to do Jedi's, cool. And here's the thing about stuff like, oh, you can only focus on legacy. Then focus on the legacy of the Rogue Squadron, and then do where they are now. This is the new Rogue Squadron.
You're
They
right.
have the shadow of the old Rogue Squadron
You're
behind
taking the
them.
best of
as
both
they're
worlds, right? Something familiar that we know familiar with, but give us new characters within that.
That's what I'm saying,
It's
dude.
not that it's not difficult. Movies do it all the time. I mean, not every movie is a franchise or a sequel. It's not. The majority are not. The original properties, or at least based off of original work. There's disaster. It's I don't know. This is bad. At 2027, and God forbid if Mando sucks. Oh my God.
Oh man,
Oh
if
my
Mando
God.
drops the ball,
Oh my God.
oof,
It's gonna be a.
that might be the death nail.
It could very well. This could be like the DCU, like where they ended up being the last couple of years.
Yeah.
There's a danger. I'm not saying it will, because Star Wars it's big and I get it, but come on, dude. You're already in a bad spot. You give us a bad Mando. Holy shit, dude.
Listen, if they do a bad Mando, you know what's gonna have to happen?
Disaster.
You know what's gonna have to happen? They're gonna lean onto the world between worlds, and they're gonna do a time reboot, and that's what's gonna have to happen.
I don't want to see that either. To be honest with you, I get it,
But that's the
but I don't want to
like
see it.
if Mando's a bad movie, that's gonna be
I
their
don't even know,
only way
'cause
out.
then what are you gonna hear? Oh, they just recycling. Even Force Awakens, there was complaints about that, which were
No,
valid.
no, no.
But
You don't recycle. You don't do it over. You do like everything up to Jedi happened, and now new.
I mean, if you want to
But
start over,
everything that
like,
happened
fair
before
enough.
still counted because you had to do this to reboot the universe, and this is where it's
I see what you're
at.
saying. I got you.
So
Yeah.
it is a spot place reboot. Like you go back to End of Jedi, and then you
It's
reboot
just-
everything
it's
else
just-
afterwards.
listen, nothing gets solved as long as Kennedy's there. That's been proven.
I mean, that's
She's had years to opportunities to get this done right, and she can do it. That's just the bottom line. If she's still there, I have no faith. No faith. And look, Feige has been great all the time in MCU, but you trust him. He's shown the ability to take it to heights we never expected.
absolutely.
He's proven it.
And he's shown the
know.
ability to course correct when he sees
Right.
it's not working.
Captain Kennedy has not proven to do that in the least. And until God forbid Mando sucks, it's gonna be a riot. I swear to God.
Oof.
'Cause that's the only
Oof.
good thing for the besides Andor. The only good thing has been Mando for the most part, right? Yeah, University
Right.
not only loved but watched. Andor wasn't watched a lot.
Yes. Yes.
Mando was. So that's the only thing. They can't screw that up. That's like super.
Rogue One. Rogue One also was
It was good, but it's good. But Mando's couple 3 seasons. I know third one wasn't great. It was not good. I get it, but you can hang your head on Mando's like, okay, listen, it was the most successful thing after all the films or whatever. Because all we've got is TV shows for the most part.
Right. And by the way, I'm a season 3 apologizer of Mando. I liked it. Was it as good as 2 and 1? No, but it was good.
It was
I
a
like
step down for me. I didn't say it was terrible, but it's still a step down. So I get the complaint. I understand that, right? Because you start out here, it's hard to maintain number one, but when you don't, it's a problem. And I get it, right? It's just you're a victim of your own success, ultimately, right? Right now, any Star Wars show comes out that's good, we'll be excited because all we've gotten is crap. So like, hey, we finally got a good show. Like Skeleton Crew, which could be the greatest Star Wars show of all time. I'll stand by.
Could be. Or you could make live action Cal Kestis from the Jedi Fallen Order and put him in something already. Because
that's the other thing that, oh my God, not to stand this topic too long, but in the article they were saying that there was nothing to mine from. I'm like, what in the world?
Fallen Order is amazing.
There's tons of books which are great, which they chose not to use as canon or whatever they want to do. There's plenty of stuff to mine from. Oh my God.
The Darth Vader comic book series that they did for Marvel recently, especially with Vader Down, that will be an amazing
the Darth
movie.
Sidious stuff is
Vader
Darth
Down.
Sidious is great. That's a lot of different books that.
Many good stuff. That whoever wrote that article,
nonsense.
Jump in front of a train.
God. It's ridiculous. It's so bad. It's just so bad. It's not an opinion. There's plenty to mine from. A bunch.
That's
They just
crazy.
choose.
There's so much
Of
supplement. That's one
course.
thing Star Wars has too much. So much supplemental
I said
additional
tons.
material.
And
Video games,
yeah, of
books,
course.
comic books. What are you talking about?
They just choose not to mine from it. That's on them.
Right. But it's all there ready
That's
to
what I'm
use.
saying. And great stories, just adapt it. Like so, that's what Marvel and DC do, right? They don't do original stuff. They take adapted work. They may switch it around, obviously, but
Yeah.
that's what they do, and it's okay, right? It's there. They got
Listen,
a million
Star
comics
Wars,
to look at, for Christ's sake, man.
Disney, Lucasfilm, Star Wars bought in perpetuity, eternally, the rights to use James Earl Jones' voice. You can do a Vader down movie. You're choosing not to do it, but you can do it.
Tons of stuff they can do. There's stories that don't involve it. Utter nonsense. That's really it's such a bad article, and I think it was that it's like a big thing, like a big publication. It wasn't like some minor bullshit, some
lame,
some
dude.
weird
So lame.
website. It's like a legit like publication, but it was I forget what it was, but terrible. Let's move on to something hopefully yields better results, and I'm more confident in. Fantastic Four. All excited about that. I think most people are more excited about that than anything else. MCU.
Yeah, I mean, we have talked out of all the Marvel movies that have announced right now. I personally have a little bit more excitement towards Thunderbolts and Captain America, but they both seem pretty good so far. We'll see. We both agree. Fantastic Four is the new Marvel. That step
right.
where
That's what this is the Superman of DC, right? This
right. Yeah.
This new phase or whatever.
Yes.
And I heard that this week they're actually in production, so this is going to be in the can.
Oh wow!
So, they'll do the post work and all that. So we'll probably get we'll get a trailer we'll probably get a trailer right around the Captain America time. I would assume.
Are you telling me that when you go in with a full script, you could finish on time?
Apparently, this was not bladed, so good for them to
Wow! All right.
Sometimes you have a script, a director, and actors.
Who would have thought?
Go figure,
a copy
right?
director and a full script
That's
ready to go.
Complicated. But they did release a synopsis, which I found pretty interesting. Reading it, nothing like earth-shattering. We know Galactus, and the Silver Surfer we're going to be involved. They're going to be the villains, and he's trying to eat the planet or whatever he's doing. But they talked about, I have the thing here. They're trying to balance their roles as heroes with the strength of the family bond. They must, defend the Earth from a ravenous, yada yada, Galactus and all that. So all signs pointing to this not being an origin story. Which is it?
Well, they said that. They said when you come in, they've been the Fantastic Four for a couple years.
We're not 100% sure, but this just confirms that we're not gonna get
right.
Okay, they're going to a spaceship or whatever the hell they do and this and that. So I like that a lot. Nothing else. We knew Galactus. We knew Silver Surfer with what's her face. Whatever. Fine. It's funny they officially announced it like a couple weeks ago. Really? Last week they meant announced he's Silver Surfer. Who didn't know that?
The worst kept secret in all casting.
This is really bad, but whatever. Listen, I like the fact that it's not a true origin story. They already established heroes. Obviously a futuristic retro '60s kind of vibe of the universe. Obviously, they didn't give nothing else besides that. But I like that. I like that. I like this.
Well, they did
Spider-Man
do
approach to it.
one line in that breakdown, and we yet got into it that I thought was interesting. Was like, they said Galactus shows up and things get personal.
Yeah, it gets personal. Yeah, so
I think because some of the behind the scenes set photos we've seen, it looks like they're addressing the Franklin Richards of it all, which is their child, and that Franklin Richards is an Omega level mutant. Even though they said he wasn't a mutant, it turns out that he was. He's so powerful he can make himself not a mutant. That's how powerful, because his power is reality warping.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
And Jonathan Hickman's Fantastic Four run, which is what Secret Wars is plowing towards, in that Fantastic Four run leading to Secret Wars, there's a future Franklin Richards shows up, and Franklin Richards has a herald, and it's Galactus. Galactus is his herald.
Interesting.
And I'm like, that's awesome. But I think what happens is, the reason why I say it's personal, I think Galactus is going to show up, just letting you know, like, your son is going to be a problem.
Interesting.
And they have to deal, like, do we fight Galactus to save the world? Do we sacrifice your son to fight Galactus? Like, I think that's the personal of it. And I feel like Franklin Richards is going to be one of the key factors going into Secret Wars as well, because of his reality warping powers and the multiverse. I think that's going to be something where it's going to connect to Scarlet Witch. It's going to connect to Wiccan. Those three are going to be the trifecta that save or lead to Secret Wars or save the multiverse after Secret Wars and make things all stay in their own proper places. That's
I'm
what I
trying
think.
to look at the cast to see. Here we go. If cause sometimes IMDb has casts and those you don't think of.
Sure.
Torch, Ben Grimm, Silver Surfer, yeah, Natasha Leon's on this, which Paul Walker Hauser, who will not be the son. John
No.
Malkovich, no. Ralph Ineson, no. Galactus, and Sarah Niles. No, I mean, that doesn't mean it's not in it, but I'm just kind of curious
Right.
to see if they release something on there about that, because by now we know who the cast is. It's been filmed. Someone has something on it.
I think they can mention his potential, but and there are some people who have said a cool twist on that concept is that Galactus reveals that he is actually Franklin Richards from like the future, which is kind of a twist on the
Okay.
Galactus being his herald. Galactus
So the
is
son's not
him
born yet.
from
Okay.
another universe,
Oh,
right?
well,
And it kind of
that'll be interesting. I mean, I guess there's a lot of
right.
things they can
So
do with this. I'm curious. For sure, February is the date. From circle that Super Bowl trailer, we're gonna get Fantastic Four in there.
oh yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
and actually, I take it back. I think Superman. Kind of think about it. We'll get a teaser in December, like a minute long.
Full trailer Super Bowl.
Why would you not?
I mean, yeah,
come on. It's a Super Bowl.
What's more American,
right?
What's
That
bigger and more
exactly
American
right.
than Super Bowl?
Super Bowl.
So,
the movie still comes out in July, so still plenty of time. Right, 5 months. There we go. I forgot about the Super Bowl, so we're gonna get that taste of it because that's the same time. I think a week later is Captain America 4, so they can showcase the trailer. It's Fantastic Four anyway. Before that movie, doing the movie, whatever.
absolutely.
So yeah, that's now this Super Bowl got more exciting already. Look at that. Last thing, we'll stick with Kevin Feige because the news MCU is not over. This is very interesting news. I don't know if it's good news for me, because how I feel about the X-Men, but it could be good news for a lot of people. So Kevin Feige was talking about, this is his words. He was talking about, did an interview. He was talking about the X-Men itself. I guess people are always asking when they're gonna come out, yada yada yada. And he says, let me get this little thing. He says, okay, I think you will see what continues in the next few movies with some X-Men players that you might recognize. So he's already coming out saying we're gonna get some X-Men in future movies. His words.
Yeah.
Right after that, the whole story of Secret Wars really leads us into the new age of mutants and the X-Men again. As one of those dreams come true, we finally have the X-Men back. So he's already teasing that we're gonna get some of these guys in future. It's only like 3 movies coming out before, well, maybe if you count Doomsday, I guess. Fantastic Four seems like a good place to debut something.
A background mutant of some sort, possibly.
Well, he said someone will recognize people will recognize. So it's going to be someone we know, like a very popular X-Men. So obviously in the vein of Professor X, Wolverine, or Cyclops, the big names,
I bet
right?
you
No obscure X-Men.
There's probably going to be a mutant in Captain America. There's probably going to be a mutant in Thunderbolts. That's possibly going to be there. Background, maybe like a little cameo moment, and then you move away.
Possible.
That kind of thing.
Again, this is what I've been against. To be honest with you, it's cool to see them, but these two worlds just don't mix, and it changes the whole perception of what the X-Men should be for me. So I don't like this at all.
See, I like it because the mutants should always be around in the background until they become such a problem. They become the foreground. So
not really, because the basis of the story has nothing to do. It's not about them being in the background, right? Again, this is a world where people like superheroes, and X-Men is designed in a world that does not accept them, right? And
right.
And this world that's created. There's not no one right in the world that can make that come to fruition in this current iteration of MCU.
Well, that's why they're not really going to be X-Men until after Secret Wars. You're going to see more mutants that are X-Men, but those they're not going to show up as X-Men. They're just going to show up as mutants who will become X-Men.
But it's not about the X-Men, just mutants in general, right? And people, listen, when you have Hulk and all that, you see, well, Hulk's not a mutant, this guy's a mutant. People are not going to give a fuck, right? They don't care. Oh, he's got gamma ray, and they don't give a fuck. It's a creature. But they accept
in the Marvel universe. That's always been the way. It's always been that way in the Marvel universe. And the reason why is because you could say someone who gets a power.
It was not in the world of X-Men. X-Men, people were afraid of mutants. They didn't accept it.
Right, but people are afraid of mutants, but love the Avengers. That's always been Marvel. Marvel's always been that thing. You could have both of them side by side. Yay, Avengers!
You had them side by side. The X-Men came out in a world in its own.
No, it was always in the Marvel universe.
But it was their own story. It was their own thing. Later on, they put them in there, and I get it. That's what you do. But
But
but the very
right.
essence
But here's
of the
the
very essence of X-Men is them being unacceptable. Again, which is great for these times, which you can't lean on in the times where we're very social conscience, because
but they've been doing this anyway. They made what Namor is a mutant. So if you introduce there's mutants there,
I'm not saying you can introduce mutants.
Miss
I
Marvel
get
is a
you can
mutant.
introduce mutants. I'm not saying you can't introduce mutants, but the essence of the X-Men, right? And the conflict between, we'll say Magneto and Xavier has always been one of two ideologies, right? Which the
Right.
human race does not accept either one. This is your classic, you know,
Peaceful or violent
MK
coexistence. Right.
versus Malcolm X, which is what it was
Yeah.
drawn from, right? That conflict. No one wanted civil rights wasn't around back then, but they're fighting amongst each other, and everyone else hating the whole both of them together, right? You're not gonna get that in this version. You're just not. You
But
can't.
I think you're misunderstanding. I think you're misunderstanding the quote. He's not saying they're going to show up as X-Men.
But doesn't.
You're just going to
But
see
people
more
don't hate him
mutants who will
because.
become
But I'll
X-Men.
put it this way: if we see there's mutants in this world, right? They're gonna introduce these mutants, right? People are not gonna say,
Yes.
"Oh, that guy's awesome." As soon as he puts that X-Men suit, oh, he sucks. No, dude. X-Men, I get the X-Men is a team, all that just it's the idea of mutants which I hated.
Oh no, no. I think that wasn't one thing you're missing here. Is I think what's going to happen is when they get to the X-Men part, you're going to see the shift from like person who's like a mutant to now the society hates mutants.
Well, so,
You're going to see
society should hate all heroes. Now you're telling a different story, and that will make more sense, right? Almost like the Sokovia Accords, which they're gonna rinse and repeat. It's still not good. Fair enough, they can rinse and repeat, and make it do well. I still think it's nonsense because it's lazy, but they tried doing that, right? People didn't want heroes. They want ways the government didn't. People still wanted heroes. They just never played that card.
right.
But so now if you make all heroes bad, then it works, right?
I
But
disagree.
you
I think it's
can't
going to be the kind of thing
you
where
can't sit there and say, okay, gods and these people are acceptable, they're okay, but not this mutant who's basically the same thing. He's not okay. That doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. There's nothing you can say to convince me. It just does not
well,
make any
mean,
sense.
can I can state the literally the logistics of how it's always been in comics and what you're
Oh,
saying.
listen,
So
I get
I
the comic,
remember
but the comics have nothing to do with the movies. I'm telling you, right, I need to.
I
You get the idea out of your
understand
head, right?
what
We've seen
what I,
comics that take ideas from the comics and then adapt to film, right?
what I'm trying to get to is like, for example, in the Ultimate X-Men run, okay, the very first one that they did in the early 2000s. Mark Millar was writing, and Mark Millar had this whole thing about how the X-Men was going to be a secret, like Shield Black Ops division.
Yeah.
Wait, listen before you start nodding your
No,
head.
no, but
Listen
you're taking something that we already had X-Men. No, but
no,
wait, hold
no,
up.
I'm
He
no,
changed it
I'm
up,
giving you.
but he changed it up.
Wait,
It was
no,
already
no. Wait,
established, dude.
you're not letting me finish. I'm
Just
giving
stop.
you background to explain what
It
happened.
doesn't
So
matter.
his
It
original
doesn't matter
idea
because
was,
whatever. No,
listen,
hold on.
listen. It's not all about
It
Jose.
is because
Listen.
what Jose says
So
is
no,
always true. He
no,
knows
because you're wrong. So this is what I'm trying to explain to
no,
you here.
because in
Look,
this world we don't know who X-Men
when
are. No
what?
one's seen
No,
the X-Men,
you
right?
don't know. You
Right.
don't know who
But
the
when
X-Men
Mark
are
Millar
yet. You
wrote
don't
that
know.
comic,
So
we knew who X-Men were. You're talking about two different things.
no, in that world,
No,
it was
but
the
the
first time
audience.
he was introducing the idea
I
of
get it, but the
X-Men.
people and the fake people in those fake movies, they're not buying tickets, Eric. It's the people who watch them. People who read the comics, they buy comics. They see the X-Men already created. Now you can do something different with it. Perfect. The people who go to the movies, no, we haven't been introduced to this set. It's a whole new thing. It doesn't work, and it
No,
doesn't work because
you're
the essence of the X-Men is what we've gotten.
No,
What
because
really
what you got to
works.
do is if you create an event where like people are like, there's mutants and people feel uncomfortable, but they're trying to be cool, and then
And it goes
a
back to what I'm
mutant.
saying. You start fresh as the X-Men. The only thing you reboot everything, and
I
and that's how
disagree.
you work.
What you
It just
do
doesn't
is
work.
you have mutants.
It
You have
doesn't
mutants who are
work.
power hungry. They do a terrorist act, and
There
it
are people with
changes the
super.
global
There
perception
are.
of
I
mutants.
get it.
And now you
Well, then,
you
but
got
then you have to introduce villains to comic books. Oh wait, we already have that, Eric. We know people who are powerful are evil. That doesn't change anything. People have seen Thanos. Who cares if it's a mutant? We've seen it. We've seen people, whether mutants or not, be evil. It doesn't change anything. We're in a world now where we have this group of superpowered individuals who no one has seen superheroes before, right? Okay, and you have one of them who should be good but disliked, and those who are bad who are disliked. Look at the first X-Men leaned on this, which is so good. The second one leaned on it, which was great. Right? The third one was terrible. Days of Future Past was all about that. That's what made the movie so good. Now you're taking what made these movies good, you're taking it out, and now you're just putting X-Men because they're cool looking. I'm watching that. Oh, that's cool. Oh my God, Wolverine's doing this. But the essence of what makes the X-Men great is being stripped down because they have no choice because of the world that they've created, and you can't erase that either. You erase it completely, like I said, reboot only with X-Men. This is the X-Men phase. Nothing else. Nothing existed. No Iron Man, no Thor, none of this bullshit. Because you introduce them, you minimize. Because, oh, I hate X-Men. You can't like any hero if you don't like the heroes of the X-Men. You can't, because it's the same thing. People with powers. Nobody cares this mutant versus someone who's born with it, or Spider-Man who got bit. Same fucking shit. Spider-Man's a fucking mutant. That's what he is. He's a mutant. But they love him. Now you can turn around.
He's not a mutant.
He's not. He's to the people. To a purpose, someone who's got abilities which are abnormal, which nobody else can have. You're a mutant. You want to get technical, great. Nobody cares. The point is.
Well, but remember, in the Marvel universe, everyone's got powers is due to a random accident.
The little kids, first of all, it's not like they advertise that, dude. Let's be honest. But in the movies and
they did. They've
not
done.
Always.
There's whole documentaries about these heroes.
Come on, dude. They are mutants. They are people with powers. And you can't introduce people with powers and then now you hate them or don't want to see them. We've already seen people with powers who are overmatched, overpowered, me incredibly dangerous if they were to turn bad. They you know what that's called? It's a Korea quote. We've seen it. I'm not talking out of my ass. Marvel said that to the audience that, hey, there's people here that don't want them, right? They squashed that storyline. Now they're loved, they saved the world. Here comes more heroes. Now they're bad. Now we don't want more heroes. Nonsense. They all chip. They all love these heroes because this is in a world where they've seen all these heroes already. They're conditioned to it. Even so in some movies, big event, nobody cares anymore. See Eternals. That's just not an event. They just tone deaf to it all. Having mutants there, you think people are like, a mutant. So this guy had the DNA. Nobody gives a fuck, dude. It's a guy with powers. And that's what the audience and the people in this world that see, which is why what the Eternals were so ridiculous. Because you have all this stuff going on and no other people, no one cares. These big events, it's not. It's like it's just passe. It's the new normal. It's like COVID. You got COVID, great. 2 years ago, oh my God, COVID. Now it's like, hero, same thing. Oh, another hero, another big event. They're gonna save us. Yay, good guys. Here's more good guys. Boo, those good guys. It doesn't work. I'm sorry, dude. X-Men is based on something that is embedded in this culture and is still going on now, which they could completely lose and strip away just to put it as eye candy and create some story that there's a new group called the X-Men. It's the new Avengers, is what they are. Fighting against this evil group who people are going to boo, and then they should, because they're evil just like any other superhero villain, and every single Marvel movie has given us has been there. It doesn't work. I'm sorry, dude. The essence of what makes X-Men great is gone. They can strip it away.
And
they try to do what you say.
25, 30 years. I disagree.
I get it, but come on, dude. I know writing more than anybody. If they try to do that, they can try to do it, and it does not work. Not in the world that they've self-created. It doesn't work, dude. I'm sorry. Let's assume they introduce Xavier, right?
Right.
It's not that he's going to be born and they're going to wait 50 years till he gets older because he's
alive at some point already.
Right. That guy who wants to save the world, his pure heart, stood back and did nothing when he could have just gone to Thanos' mind and ended it right then and there. You can't explain that. There's nothing you could say to say, well,
because the world's
in the back. No, dude, he wanted us the world to embrace him.
When they reboot the universe,
he'd rather have the world be split in half than actually make an attempt to go save it. Stop, dude. That makes no sense. That makes no sense. I have the ability to stop a universal event, a catastrophic, and I'm going to chill because I'm afraid. You're more afraid of everyone dying than you being exposed. That's dumb. It's just dumb, dude.
Well, we don't even know what's going to be the reasoning behind all that. So you got I think you're making a lot of assumptions.
It's a world, and that's not the only world event that they've had on planet Earth in this particular MCU.
Right.
So he stepped back and did nothing. It makes no sense. And now he's going to pop up and say, no, it doesn't work, dude. Where the hell was he at a time where the whole planet needed someone like him? And he's a good guy. It doesn't work, dude. There's nothing you can say, well, he was hiding. Nonsense. And I don't want to hear it, dude. I don't want to hear it. He had all these years. It doesn't work, dude. Then maybe the government knew, and the government's not going to use them to their advantage. Of course they knew. Why didn't S.H.I.E.L.D. know? This guy knows everything, Nick Fury. He's recruiting people with abilities to prevent a cataclysmic world event And so the government knew about him. He didn't recruit the X-Men. Stop. No fucking chance. He recruits that. He didn't want to recruit that half drunk guy in Robert Downey Jr. And he's not going to recruit some. No, it doesn't work. I'm sorry. It does. No matter what you say, it just does not work in the world they've created. It doesn't make
I
any
think it
sense.
does. I think it does, and I mean, I could see a very easy way to
I
make
do
that
too. You
work.
start over. There you go.
No, I mean,
Done.
no, that's a
Done.
lazy way. I thought
That's
about
the
an easy
only way.
way.
There's no easy way,
No,
dude.
it's not.
You have to restart the same thing. You real the whole multiverse bullshit that everybody hates. Everyone keeps saying it. You don't tell me it's great now. All of a sudden,
I didn't tell you it was
right? It
great. I
sucks.
just
So now
the
you're
way
using something that
to make
sucks
it
to
work
explain
very
an
easy.
idea to say what we're gonna reboot. That's what I'm saying, dude. Reboot. I'm not saying anything new that you can say about this. We'll see.
It's going to be a
See,
soft
it's a
reboot.
full
They've said this.
reboot. We don't want any heroes. It's just the X-Men. Make the X-Men great, and then eventually you want to introduce more characters. Then fine, or keep it separate. That's how X-Men really works, is by themselves as the X-Men. That's how it
I
works.
disagree, and
Otherwise,
you can make it work within the context, just like they did made it work in the
it's just
comics.
cool. I don't want cool. That's what I'm telling you, right? I'm not saying it's gonna be bad. I'm just saying it's just gonna be cool. That's great. X-Men is great for particular reasons that few comics have. And now you're stripping that away and now just making like every other comic, just another hero. That's fine. Great.
You're making a lot of presumptions and not seeing
That's
the
not a
way you can make this
presumption.
really interesting.
But that's the world that they've created. I'm sorry, dude. There's nothing they could explain of why he didn't get involved. There's nothing.
There is.
No,
There's like three different ways you can easily do
that
it.
doesn't work. And I'm not talking about fantasy world and comic books where they make up all kinds of shit and it works as comic. That's a
No, I
comic.
mean, listen,
It doesn't
you could have
work.
said Xavier got snapped away. So done. So he was snapped away.
Okay, what about New York years ago?
What about what?
Before when they invaded New York, I'm back.
He was on the other side of the planet looking for another
Oh,
mutant.
looking for the
So
mutant, so he didn't realize there was a cataclysmic event coming, an invasion. Because I forgot.
he's not a precog. He's a telepath.
Right.
So he can't be like, oh my God, they're attacking. I gotta get a plane. I gotta buy a ticket. It's gonna take me a couple hours to get there. So literally, Xavier has been
so
known
what
to
about
travel.
like
He was in
what
Egypt
about the
fighting the
30
Shadow King where he got
other
his
MCU
back
the 30
broken.
MCU movies? Come on, dude, stop. Don't even want to hear it. The world knows about the Avengers and the heroes and these events that keep happening. You can't just say, well, you couldn't. Fine, let's assume he fell asleep during Thanos' invasion, which makes sense because it was a small thing.
And listen, even in
Come
context,
on, dude.
when they passed
Stop.
the Sokovia Accords, maybe that's what he was getting ready to present himself to Shield and to the Avengers. He goes, "Oh man, if they're doing that to the heroes, imagine if they do to people like us. Oh, let's just keep it down." There's so many ways to make it work that
That's
it doesn't
the
happen.
opposite
Like,
of what Xavier Charles was trying to do from the beginning.
no, but Xavier's like in the comics. Even Xavier doesn't come out to the world. Xavier does not come out to the world publicly as a mutant until 2000, because he's like, if they know who we are, they will come after us. They will persecute us. And you could use the Sokovia Accords, like, look what they're doing.
Or before Sokovia Accords, he said,
"Oh,
this is opportunity to come out because these heroes who are like us are out there and they're being loved."
No.
So no one liked Iron Man until after the Sokovia Accords. Is that what we're saying? No one liked the Hulk until after. I just want to be clear from you that no one liked heroes until like
that's not what I'm saying.
The 15th movie of the series. Now we're here. Dude, no, from the get-go.
That's not what I'm saying.
From the get-go, it was acceptable
that's not what I'm saying.
to be a hero.
But you could even do a situation where Xavier read the mind, because he has got cerebro. He could have read the minds of Tony Stark and
so he can read the minds, but he can't figure out that Thanos is invading.
Liz, he doesn't know what's going to happen. So I was talking about reading the minds. He goes, listen, Tony Stark is well-meaning, but that dude's going to be the death of us. And if we get involved, it could be worse.
Right, so he's allowing the world to go to shit. Is that what we're saying?
No, because he didn't know it was going to go to shit. He's like, if we get involved, this might influence the way he does things, and we don't want to make it worse. Let's just be careful, because if this guy breaks bad, because he was technically not a great character in the beginning of Iron Man 1, let's hang back and see what happens. Because if we reveal us, he could take this as he's so paranoid right now, especially after what the Scarlet Witch did to him, that this could be very bad. So let's wait and see while we still handle our business. And then when they're getting ready to make their presentation, that's what Sokovia Accords happen.
Okay,
you know what?
The Sokovia Accords, there was no more world events after that. That was the last X-Men, last Marvel movie we saw.
Listen, if it's one thing that
I'm asking the question: is that the last movie we saw? If that's the last movie we saw, I'm with you. But there's been 50 other movies after that where he could have gotten involved.
After Civil War, the big threat movie after Civil War on Earth was Infinity War. Infinity War, you could say that the X-Men or the mutants that would eventually become the X-Men got snapped away. Done. And the ones that hung out were scared, so they didn't do anything. Like the younger guys, like a Nightcrawler or a Kitty Pryde. And then when they all got snapped back, they weren't in the battle of Wakanda, so no one knew they
other
existed.
mutants were hiding back. I said Professor X would never hide back.
Exactly. What?
Professor X wouldn't just hang back. The other one, yeah, Kitty Pryde would, because who the fuck is she? The main guy should not be hanging back. And I tell you, Magneto had a perfect opportunity with half the world crushed for his world domination. This is the time. Here, half the heroes are gone. This is my time, because obviously he doesn't know about Professor X.
But what if he got snapped too? Because they both got snapped away.
Really? So his desire to be evil only came about after the snap. That's even the worst writing. That's what Simon Kinberg has done at times. Dude. That's exactly when they get a Star Wars. So as you saying, let's get a Star Wars. It doesn't work. I'm telling you, you know it. You want to believe in it, and I get it. But let's be realistic and honest about.
I'm just saying, there's a way to make it work. There's a way to make it work within the context of the story.
You make it work by rebooting everything and just
not rebooting. I just laid out a very reasonable way to make that work.
No, that's not a reasonable way to make that work.
From the first Avengers all the way
that's ridiculous.
to
Endgame. It doesn't make sense. The only way, what they're going to do, and I already know this already, so don't be surprised when it fucking happens. The government already knows.
Let's see.
The government already knows about it. Which is even worse, because it goes back to Major Theory with S.H.I.E.L.D. They know they would have used them for their own purposes. They do Black Ops all the time. Fucking Nick Fury didn't give a fuck. He didn't want to use them? I think so. In a thousand million years.
I'll tell you this. I bet you Nick Fury knew, but he kept it with his scroll cells.
He never knew, he would have used them for the scrolls too. So it doesn't. That doesn't work. I'm sorry. Oh, it's alien invaders, aliens. We need the protection. No, Professor X, all these X-Men. Nah, I'm gonna chill. I'm gonna B team on that. Come on, dude. That's not Nick Fury. What Nick Fury does. You both know ass.
You can even do a thing where because Xavier is nervous about going public with the X-Men, you can have a whole scene where Nick Fury confronted Xavier and Xavier made everybody forget.
The X-Men, dude. I'm telling you, it's a world we see people. You see them. She-Hulk has superheroes left and right. Let's not forget that. That have law firms, so they're fine, dude. Don't tell me, oh, what are you gonna think about me? We got a green girl walking around. Nobody gives a fuck, dude. I don't want to hear that scare shit. You don't have to say you're mutants. You just said, I got powers like she got powers. Done. That's it. That's all you got to say. I got powers, so does Spider-Man, so does Iron Man. That's all you have to say. What are they hiding for? That's what I'm telling you. They're acceptable. They're normal. It's the new normal to have people with a bunch of people in a TV show, 20 heroes on, the people with powers. Nobody cares. No, that's what I'm trying to tell you. It's not a big deal.
You're saying this out of personal opinion, but I'm saying in continuity, in the comic books, everything you're saying, there's a line where there's a TV show. We don't like these people.
But that you can't establish that because there's people already with mutant powers.
You absolutely can.
No,
you can absolutely establish we like people with powers, but we don't like these types of people with powers. Look at our world today. We can say we don't like we like these people, but we don't like these kinds of people. And it's the same people. You're just putting a hat on a hat.
Because it's stupid. If one person has power is the same as another person has power, either good or evil. That's it. You're trying to make this stuff up because you're itching. Oh my god, the X-Men! I can't wait. Because the MCU has to work. Oh my god, it's my baby, and I get it, but
I'm deferring to.
You're not looking objectively.
60 years of continuity.
No, this is the MCU. This isn't a comic. Let the comic. I keep telling you 1,000 times. The comics has nothing to do with the MCU.
It does. That's the whole thing.
Because they draw from it, and
MCU.
If that was the case, Secret Invasion would have been amazing.
No, if they did it exactly the comic, yeah.
Right. And when have they ever done it exactly?
That's right. Stick to what you make my point. Stick to what the comic's doing, and it'll work.
When have they done that? Never, ever. Now all of a sudden you think that we're doing now. They never do it.
But you don't do it exactly. Stick to the spirit. Like even Secret Invasion, the spirit of Secret Invasion was not what we got in that series. They didn't do. They reinterpreted the whole package.
Right.
It should have been
spirit. You're making a point. The spirit of the X-Men is what I've talked about. That is being removed.
The spirit of the X-Men is in a world full of heroes. There's a group of people that are hated for the thing that others are appreciated for, and they have to survive in this. That's the spirit of it.
Heroes. This is a world where heroes are loved. I'm telling you. In the world where
No.
X-Men came out, there's people who were there, they didn't know those other heroes. They were just normal humans, and all of a sudden these people got powers. They were frightened of that, and rightfully so. I get that, right? We're past that stage because now we're in a world where there's attorneys who handle cases just for them. It's okay to be a hero. It's fine. Who cares where the powers came from? That's what I'm saying. It's stupid. It doesn't make sense for the people, the audience, the people in that world to now starting, we're going to fear these heroes because of what? They got powers? Okay. How does that make sense
You could
when
look.
you change
Look,
if they're evil,
I was just
agreed. But they're not evil, they're good. There's bad ones. Just
look.
like there's bad
I was
superheroes,
just
man. It
I
doesn't
was
work.
just rewatching Iron Man 2 the other day, okay? And if you remember the conceit of Iron Man 2, the government is trying to take Iron Man's armor, like
Sure.
Tony Stark's armor. They're like, you've invented a weapon, you're an American citizen, America's gonna claim it. You know, and he's like, no, because I am Iron Man, so you can't you've been taking me, so
Right.
you can't take it. I'm sorry, you can't
What
do
are
it.
you do?
You could do a very
You're gonna
simple
cut
thing.
Xavier's brain out? Is that what they
I
want?
mean, it happened in the comics,
They're gonna.
but that's not what I'm trying to get to. You could literally have a thing where every
Oh my
U.S.
god!
citizen
Did you
that's
even hear yourself when you speak? Oh my god!
yeah, it's called being a
Oh
comic book
god!
nerd.
I told you, dude.
So
I don't understand where the comic book nerd still feels
but wait,
like
wait,
the
but
movies or the comics are the
you're
same.
you
They're
don't even
not the
let me
same.
finish making a point.
Because
You
you
start
just
trying to
said they
get
took the brain out. Again, a comic book it works. In the movie is the fucking dumbest
well, I know
goddamn
that's why,
thing you
but
can.
I'm not
So
saying they
you
have
can't.
to
So the,
do
so
that. You
so
just,
you say, Jose,
but you
you're right.
said,
They're not
"What
taking
are
his
they gonna cut
brain.
their brain?" I was like, "Well,
So
it happens
that's
in the
what you
comics,
say,
so
man.
it's got
So
precedent." Is what I'm
that's what I'm
saying.
saying. You say no, they
But
can't do that. You don't say well, no, we say no, they can't do that. But you want to
but
extend the discussion and say, well,
what I'm
in the
trying to get
comics,
to,
they took his
what I'm
eyeball
trying
and
to
it
get
went
to
this way.
is
And,
the U.S.
come on,
government
dude.
could say everyone that's born a mutant automatically gets drafted, and now you have an issue because if you're born regular and you
Now
get a
you're
power
talking about. I
randomly,
get why the government won't like them. That's a different discussion. They didn't like. They didn't. Superior courts proved that. We know that. I'm talking about the
right? But
people.
here's the
But
thing:
it's not.
the
But X
government.
Men and not. It's not predicated on what the government liked half and not the other half.
Well, think of today's
People
world where
didn't
like
accept
being
them.
woke is now considered like a problematic thing for half of America. You can make it where they're convinced half America being born a mutant, you got to be work the government. If you're not, then you're a traitor. Like you can make, and then half the country will be like, screw those guys, you're automatically
That goes for
traitors.
every superhero that has powers. It doesn't change it.
No,
You're
because
ruining
people
the
who are
essence of it.
born, that you could set up a thing where people who are born with powers have to be working for the government. People who get powers randomly, well, that's an accident. You can't be blamed for that. And that little
So
divide is
someone
how you
who's
make
equal as
culture war happen,
they're for the
which
X
is
Men
what
because
X Men is
but
about.
no,
So
but
you can still make it
they don't
work
fear the mutants.
super
They don't
easy.
fear the mutants, dude. The government fears what the mutants are capable of doing. What they're capable of doing is what the Hulk is capable of doing, even more so. That's why you fear. The government fears things like the Hulk and Iron Man because what the ability to do. They don't give a fuck how they can about it.
But I'm saying, how do you turn the people into a division state? Is that you
Then
frame it like they're
right,
born with it,
now,
and so they're
now you're
not.
talking about a one movie arc. That's not what the X Men
No,
is.
that's the beginning
No,
of an
that's it.
entire.
That's the movie because now the other heroes are gonna come to the defense and no, it's not right, and the movie's done. You're talking about this is not what it is. We need a trilogy to do that. That's even worse.
You could do,
That's
but
even
you're
worse.
assuming you make the bad guy the government for every movie. You expound off that concept. How do people retaliate during that? How extreme will they
Yeah,
react to, like, you could build off of that,
that's
and then
one
when they
film
react
because at the end of
extremely,
the day,
it creates more
the
tension.
MC,
Now you have a whole culture. Like, that's the movie right there.
you're failed to understand what the MCU does. That's not what they do. This is about heroes, which is the villains have almost sucked. They love their villains that hype them up. That's never going to change. That's the moneymaker. This is why you don't make rated R movies. It's like, you're not thinking like you should be thinking. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I'm thinking in the position of an executive. So how do we get this way people to accept it and to make this great? Right? You're not going to make these guys the villains for 3 movies. That's not what MCU has ever done. Ever.
No, they're not going to make the X-Men the villain of 3
X-Men
movies. Of
are the
course not.
villains because that's what people are seeing it. That's what really makes X-Men so compelling to the people. To the people there, oh, they're the bad guys. They've always been the bad guys, good or wrong. They do good deeds. They're still not liked. That's just
Right, they protect a world that fears and
that's
hates
the
them. Right.
X-Men. That's not what the MCU does. MCU props their heroes. That's what they've always done.
Well, I
Even the
mean, if
flawed
anything, I
heroes,
feel like this is going to be the
like a
shift.
drunk crap like Robert Downey Jr. is, he propped him as a hero. And good for them doing that. But
But
that's what they do.
once again,
That's
I
what they
think
do.
that's going to be the dynamic shift,
Right.
because how do you
After
not
one
make
film.
something
I
new
agree.
would now feel like the same old thing? Now we're going to show that
After
these
one
guys are
movie.
heroes, but the world still sees them as villains, and that dichotomy
No.
of two perspectives is going to make it interesting. How do you make the MCU
It only works.
like
It
the MCU,
only
but
works if
different?
every
You
single
do that
if
now.
every hero is against them as well.
it won't be against, but they'll make it difficult to publicly support them, which is something that happens in comics as
They
well.
won't. If
And
they won't,
that
then
you got,
right.
and that's a lot of great dynamics.
Then they're the villains.
Yeah, or no, the public perception is villains, but they're still heroes. It's the perception. They get stuck in that sort of like, I can't support you publicly, but I got you behind closed doors.
MCU, we're gonna prop them up as heroes. That's what they do.
Eventually,
from jump.
No, I don't think from the jump. I think it's going to be an eventual.
And it doesn't work because that's not what the X-Men is about. X-Men is not even about it. It's not about that. It really isn't. For the kids, we comic book, the kids were all stupid at that age. I get it. But in essence, as you watch it when you're older, from a different perspective, you understand that X-Men is completely different than a lot of comic books out there. It really is.
You're telling me about the X-Men is different?
Right. So you can agree with me there, and then say, well, no, you can't. No, dude, that's what makes X-Men special. You're ripping that away for the sake of selling more toys and putting them on screen because it's cool to have X-Men and everybody wants to see them, right? And everyone thinks they're going to see them and they're going to like it, what they're going to see, and they very well could because a lot of horror fans, they like anything, they don't give a fuck, and I get it. But the point is, what makes X-Men great is separate from what makes other things great. It's not the same thing. Now you're combining two worlds that don't really mesh from what we know, from what makes you can have X-Men as universe, of course you can. It just won't be what X-Men has been known to be and what made them great. You're stripping that away.
Look,
it will still be cool. You still see Wolverine do what he does, and we're all going to get excited. We're going to get excited about
I'm going to make the statement as a button to the whole situation. When women got the right to vote during the suffrage moment, that was the 97th time they tried to get the right to vote, to be equal citizens when voting. So it took 96 times of them trying and failing before they finally got it.
That is so not the same thing, dude.
It is, because what you do is
civil rights,
present
if
them,
you want to use civil rights, that's a better argument in terms of the racial equality, which, by the way, is the essence
they're seen as less than, no matter what they accomplish, no matter what they contribute to society, they're less than.
Women were never seen as bad as
victories along the way. With the
You're
and that's how you make it.
Women were never seen and not equal.
Success. And even then, there's always going to be something that pulls them back, because there's always going to be
you compare what women
want.
You compare what women want,
and that's how you make it.
White women to what the plight of the black man. It's not the same thing.
I didn't say it's the same as what
right.
white
men. But
I'm talking about
X-Men is comparison to the civil rights struggles of minorities. You can't. So your example using the women does not equate. I understand what you're saying.
I'm giving you in terms of like how do you make it an incremental win, but still a loss, and that's something I'm putting out there. It took 96 tries for the 97th to be successful, and even civil rights to this day. You talk about redlining, you talk about systematic oppression. You could have all those things there as well. It's always been about civil rights.
MCU is gonna be fun as hell. It's gonna be great.
I think it's gonna be fun, but it's gonna be every win comes with a loss.
It's not gonna be the X-Men that it should be, and it's gonna really unfortunately detract from what made X-Men great. That's all I'm saying. It can still be good.
I disagree. I feel like your limited view of just what the movies are is not taking what the comics can bring in, and that nuance is gonna make it key for this new step.
When MCU begins to actually look at a comic and does what it does, you and I can have that conversation. I'll say you're absolutely right. They have yet to do that. Not even once have done that. So
they've taken the spirit of it, and
right, I get it. But for you to think that, it's just not. Come on, dude. Stop, dude.
I feel because of what the screw ups they did with Phase 4, they're being very meticulous.
They got a little bit overzealous what they want.
But I'm talking about you got overzealous. So what happens is every time you go to do a project now, you have to be very concise. It's no longer let's do a bunch of stuff and figure it out as we go along, which is the Star Wars problem. They're gonna be like everything is going to be thought out and set up.
The lack of planning was bad for MCU. They just chose the wrong subject.
And I feel like now they have the right subject and they're planning, they'll make it work.
They're still doing multiverse. No one likes it. Let's stop. Let's not pretend that what they're doing is good.
Look, you can't complain about the multiverse because we're going towards the end of it. Like,
right.
That's what
I'm saying. So first of all, why introduce X-Men now while we're still trying to finish a storyline?
Because some characters are going to carry over after the reboot. So we're establishing that these are people who are going to be X-Men later on. We're just setting remember that guy?
It's not a reboot.
It's like why talk about Doctor Strange in Winter Soldier if we're not going to get him until later on in Phase 3?
It's a continuation, not a reboot. That's the difference.
It's a soft reboot. It's a soft
reboot. There's no soft reboot.
Choose what's going to keep it, what's going to drop. It's a soft reboot.
It's a reboot. It's not. There's no soft. There's no just it doesn't
It's a
exist.
soft reboot.
This doesn't
They'll still
exist.
have Avengers, but not all of them are going to be the same actors. We'll still have certain events, but they're not all going to happen exactly the way we
It's either
saw it
gonna be
because of the
you do a
change.
hard reboot.
It'll be a soft
You do a
reboot.
hard reboot. It's not like we'll take the you start cherry picking who you want. No, it's either full or it's
You're
nothing.
going to cherry pick. Listen, in Marvel Comics, they've never done a hard reboot. It's always been soft reboots,
Again,
and so they
and
just
that's
keep
great.
in pace with it's
And a
always
lot of
happened.
comics were great that did not turn out great. And that had nothing to do with anything. Nothing. Not a thing.
Well, once again, like I said, that's
Nothing.
when you were just throwing things against the wall without having a concise idea and a vision. X Men is too
They
big of a
had a
property
vision for
not
the
to have a
for,
concise
they had
idea
a
and a
vision for
vision,
the first
and
three
I think that's
phases
going to
of
make
the
it work.
MCU and did not take something directly from the comic, just stuff from the comics and they did their own spin on it when it was at the height of the powers MCU, and they've done shitty work. Again, not taken from the comics. The lowest point, and nothing to do with what they draw from the comics. This is the quality and the product, the execution of the ideas that they
That's what I'm
have.
saying. So with that quality and
But
precision that they're going to have to do for the X Men and make it
this is
work,
old
you're
right. It
your
works in a certain way.
your limited view of what they can do is not what they are going to do because they realize how every little thing is now super important.
What's important? Don't tell me Captain America's important. Stop. Or Thunderbolt. Nonsense.
No, that's old Marvel. We're talking new
If you're
Marvel. I'm
releasing
talking
it, you're
once
putting them on it,
getting
and then
no no
they reshot it.
you're
They
getting once
they
again you're
reshot it.
conflating the two things. New
No,
Marvel
no.
getting after
So
Secret
they didn't
Wars,
reshoot the
what they're
movie.
going to do. That's what the
They
goal is getting rid of this
they
the
reshoot the
multiverse
movie.
and going to the mute
Did they
saga.
reshoot the movie? Yes or no?
Well, Captain America, a whole bunch of times.
Okay, so it's their shit, it's new shit, and it's unimportant shit.
But they can't they are stuck with what they
No,
have. They just
they
keep
could have just
trying
not
to
released it.
rejigger it.
Could have not released it. Very simple.
There's obviously like one or two things they need to establish to move forward. So
There's other
they're
ways.
not going to do they're not going to do Warner Brothers and slop it for a tax credit. So that's not happening. So
They should.
that's your opinion, and I'm sure executives ran the numbers. Like at our biggest loss, we'll break even. So release
No,
it.
they're not
So
breaking even, dude. They're running around they're not breaking even. That's a guaranteed. This is not breaking even. Low ratings on TV doesn't illustrate breaking even. Movies, the last few movies, maybe one made money, and even Guardians barely broke even, and that's at an $800 million gross. It barely broke even.
no, I made a profit
It barely broke
because it
even.
wasn't a $300
It
million movie; it's a
barely
$200
broke
movie.
even, dude. I'm telling you. I'm doing the business side. It didn't do.
It made 200 million profit off of the
It
200
did
million.
not, dude. It did not do that. Okay, it barely broke even, and it made a shitload of money. It's a very expensive film. A lot of marketing behind it. They don't keep dollar for dollar, dude. They may get 50% of the tickets, maybe, and it's really less than that, 30%. Do the math. It's simple math. 800 million do 30%. You tell me how much it is, and I'll let you know if that's profitable or not. It's not rocket science, dude. That was very, and that was one of the better films that they had that monetarily. So don't sit there and tell me the only ways which didn't make that much money are profitable, because that's not true. So they are suffering, which is why they're course correcting. Otherwise, they wouldn't court. They say, well, everything's fine.
Right.
So that proves what I'm saying. They're not successful as they were. They're taking a hit because the quality has dipped down. People aren't rushing to see these movies anymore, right? Because they're not as good. It's just, make something good, we'll go watch it. When it's not, they don't go watch it. Very simple. No one's watching as much, so now they're course corrected. So no, they were not making money. That's not the point. Moving forward, they're still making the same mistakes. X-Men is its own thing, its own entity. That's what works so well. They're trying to mix it in, use unnecessary. X-Men has some of the best comic movies you've ever seen. Fair or unfair?
It's three. It's three of the best comic movies I've ever seen.
That's pretty good numbers, right? It's pretty good.
But there's like 11 movies, so no, it's kind of bad.
So you have 20, 30 MCU movies, and maybe 2 or 3, same number. Same number.
No, Marvel has more consistent hits than the X-Men franchise.
About some of the best we've ever seen has been X-Men. Not the best. We've been at some great films. You say top 10. If you do 3 X-Men, a couple of X-Men, it's not 8 MCU. That's just not true. There's DC and there's Sony in there as well. Talking about the greatest films. They've done good films. Talking about the greatest ones. Pound for pound, X-Men has some of the best. They just do. It's worked well on its own. And it's a great format, but that's what makes it great. And now you're tainting it and you're stripping it down from the essence of what made X-Men. And now you're just making them characters. And that's cool. We're going to love it. Oh, I love that. It's very cool. It just will not be X-Men. It'll be a different version of the X-Men, of MCUized version of it. and it's going to be fun and entertaining. And I'm not saying it's not going to be good. All I'm saying is it's not going to be as great as what this property could be, as if they would leave it alone, because they can't help. They can't even make a Blade movie on something. So don't sit there and tell me that. And they very well could make a Blade movie on its own.
But to be fair, X-Men is a bigger priority movie than Blade. So that's just facts.
It's not fact because they announced Blade 5 years ago.
No, I said bigger priority, like in terms of like
5 years later,
IP
after
recognition
them not
and
doing it, sure, because they had an actor already in place. It was a priority at a certain time. Not anymore because they couldn't get it right. But the point is that they couldn't get it right because they were trying to fit it into this world MCU.
But if you had a choice, let's make a Blade movie or an X-Men movie, you go make an X-Men movie all the time because it'll outperform Blade. Blade's good, but X-Men carries a bigger.
They couldn't make it work in the MCU. Obviously,
right?
Obviously,
right.
And I'm not saying I'm not making it up. Right? They're telling you that.
Right?
They can't because it doesn't work. It's hard to fit into the MCU world. It's very difficult. Even a single character like Blade, it doesn't work. Vampires don't work. I'm sorry, it does not work in the current MCU. That's why you do it on its own. It's okay to have a movie that's not tied in Iron Man. It's perfectly fine. And guess what? It's gonna make a lot of money. It's fine. A lot of movies that don't say Marvel at the beginning made money. It exists. It happens. Right? We're in that world. X-Men does not have to be shoehorned into this world that they have established. It doesn't work as well. It could work, just doesn't work as well. It can still be great, make a lot of money. It's not a question of money. We know that. You can make a PG version of Deadpool. It will make a bunch of fucking money. But a rated R version of Deadpool is a lot better than PG, and we've got the proof for that. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. Right? X-Men will make tons of money from it. Of course they will. X-Men will still be good in MCU. Of course it is. But it's not Deadpool rated R. It's Deadpool PG-13. Not the same. Still good, not the same. And that's my issue. X-Men deserves its own thing. That's what makes X-Men great. Now you're changing it up. It's still gonna fit. They're gonna do some stupid writing and whatever. I get it. Don't make it work, and people will buy it because people are idiots. But the point is, it doesn't preclude the fact that it's not. It's just Deadpool PG-13. Still cool. I'll still watch it. And if there was no rated R version, we think that'd be great. Oh man, Deadpool's awesome. And here comes the rated R version. Oh fuck, that's way better. No one argues that. Nobody can argue that unless you're 5 years old. The parents don't let you watch it. That's what I'm saying. X-Men should be rated R Deadpool. And we're not going to get that. And we're all going to be less off for it.
X-Men should be. I agree.
I'm not saying it should be rated R, but I'm saying it should be the rated R version of Deadpool. Right? Not a PG-13 version of Deadpool. That's what I'm saying. Okay.
I'm letting you know that everything that you were said there's an impossibility off a whim. I gave you like 3 options, which means if you pay me millions of dollars, I can figure out a better way than what I just thought of here. But I already thought of 3 that could work.
No. If we talked about, you gave me options, but that doesn't work.
No, and if we talked about,
who else gives us options
as an example,
MCU, Sony, and guess what? All those options aren't always good.
Right. And some of those options are. And so what I'm saying is, if I could think of 3 in the middle of a debate with you, imagine where we sat down with a group of people, what could come up to make it work. So I feel like
because it doesn't work, and you can come up with something to fit them in that. You can do whatever you want and put that square peg in there and that square, and it fits, but it looks ridiculous. But it fits.
I disagree because it's worked in comics, and if you take the essence of it, which we were talking about, you can make it work. It's real simple.
The essence of the X-Men is what happens in actuality in the world of the X-Men, not the essence of it. Is what actually happens, what makes it impactful, not the essence of it. The essence is everything. What happens is everything, and you can't do that in this world.
Yes, you can. Like I said, if you create a cultural line of difference of impact, you have that, and we have all the civil rights history we can lean on to go. Look what happens when a certain group of people get oppressed. A lot of people, whether it's black or women or Hispanics. The government
against them. They tried to do it with Iron Man, and guess what? It didn't work because people liked Iron Man. It doesn't work. Work. You have a hero. A hero is a hero. Audience, the government can say whatever they want.
As an audience, we're taught Iron Man is cooler than the government. Screw them. But if the whole idea is they're going to smear the mutants, so their public at large will see them as villains, but you, the viewing audience, will know they're heroes. The audience, that's what lets you in. They tried that with
the court. It didn't work. People still cheer for the people in the movie cheer for the hero. They want the heroes. They're the heroes.
there's people who literally were debating who was right, Captain America or Iron Man. That live debate is it proved that it could work because in that moment you put a hero against hero,
And
and
that
everyone
lasted
saw I see
all
both
of and
angles
lasted
of it.
all of one movie. And when the chips were down, they gathered again in Infinity War to kick some ass. That's just a fact. It lasts, like I told you, it lasts one movie. It's not a sequential thing. It's not.
Well, it's two because
It's
they
one.
lost in Infinity War,
It's
and then in Endgame they gathered back
right,
together.
but they were already
So,
in the good side in the Infinity War. They were already calling upon them to help. That's what that was. Rhodey, who was dead set against it, couldn't get court-martialed for Christ's sake, and it's already been one film. I'm telling you, that doesn't work for a longevity of
but
it.
the
It
whole point
doesn't
of that
work.
movie was like if they were already together from the beginning, they would have had a better line of defense against Thanos and
They
not
still
lost
wouldn't
that
have had
fight.
it because
That
nobody
was the whole
believed he was
point.
coming, and it wouldn't have mattered.
It would because if they're all working together and not separated, you could have had a better line of defense. That's the whole point of the movie. If even Tony
No,
says in
Tony said
Endgame,
Tony wanted protection that he will create. He could just, but he could do it all by himself, which is what he wanted to do, and didn't allow him to do it. It's not that we got together as a team. That had nothing to do with shit. He wanted to protect, put a shield around the world, which he was not allowed to do. That was his complaint. Not because we had a bad game plan or you went left and I went right. It's because you didn't allow me, Iron Man, to take care of business like I told all you motherfuckers. And now look what happened. And nothing to do with the team did. Iron Man wanted to be the guy, and he was right. And he was right, but nothing to do with we were all together. They were all together. They just said no to him. That's what happened. They said no, Tony, you can't do that. Okay. Now look what you did. Right? That's what happened there. So don't mix it up. Don't do that. Nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with the team. They were all beginning of the film. They would no, it wouldn't have to. No, it did nothing. Nothing to stop them. All the whole world of Wakanda couldn't stop them. It's not gonna happen. That was not the point of the film. Okay, the point was Tony Stark was not allowed to do what he wanted to do by himself, not with a team. He was voted down. He was not allowed to do it. They told him no, so he didn't do it. That's why he was upset. And that's after the second film. That's what happened, dude. Not because the team together. Nonsense, dude. Stop it, dude. MCU will not get this right the way I wanted to get it right. It can still be good. Though.
I think the MCU is gonna surprise
you. No, MCU does what MCU
well,
does.
we'll see.
I mean, listen, MCU is predictable. We love it. It's great, but no one's surprised by it. Everybody says it's a surprise. They just don't watch movies and know how the story's told. And I get that when you're 10 years old. When you're our age, whatever they do, we know what's going to happen. And that's fine. That's not a complaint. MCU is so cookie cutter. It's incredible. It's the reason why all these directors, I don't agree with, complain about it. Because it is what it is. We just enjoy it. They don't. But what the message is right. It is cookie cutter. It is a roller coaster ride. It is surface level stuff. It just is. But that's fine. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. You don't have to like it. Even Tarantino came out and spoke about it. And he's one of the best directors out there. And it's Scorsese. Right? But it's true. They are cookie cutter. That's what they do. This is what the MCU does. We know what they're going to do. Don't sit there and say you'll be surprised by anything that they're not. Everything they've done, we know this stuff from the beginning. 2 minutes. This is the story. And that's cool because we love it. But don't pretend to sit there and say that this is like great cinema, that they're surprising you at every corner and all these cliff tints. This is not. Good guy, bad guy. Bad guy's winning. He's a good guy. Every single movie's the same. That's what they do. They prop their heroes up. That's their business, to prop these heroes up, which is why they don't have great villains. And that's by their own admission. Kevin Feige has said that. I'm not making it up. If he tells me that, I'm going to trust Kevin Feige because he's the one actually getting his hands dirty.
Right.
He has said they don't do villains because they want to prop the heroes. That's what they focus on, the heroes. His words. That's why 3/4 of the villains are terrible. We don't get Penguin in the MCU.
Right.
That's just facts, right? It is. MCU doesn't. That's what I'm saying. They prop their heroes up. They're not going to take the X-Men and throw them down the toilet to make a point. That's not what they do. They may try to do it for a movie, a single film. Fair enough. Then after that, they're going to be X-Men as normal. And just another team the Avengers can tag along with. That's not X-Men. It's just not. It's just more heroes. Call it anything else. You can call it any name. And it's the same thing. X-Force, Justice League, they're all the same. X-Men was different, man. X-Men was not the same as Justice League. Was not the same as the Avengers. They just were not. the premise
Yeah,
behind them,
I know.
right? And MCU is gonna turn them into that,
I don't think
because
so.
that's what
I don't think
what
so.
they do. I know you're saying no, but we've got 30 movies approved. Like, how many movies do you need to? It's like someone, murders 30 people. He's a
Because
bad person,
Like
dude.
you said, yeah, the X-Men IP is different than everything else, so you got to
They
approach it
they will
differently.
not. They approach it in their MCU way. That's what they do, and that's not a bad thing. That's just their form. That's their MO. That's how they approach film these movies. That's why they take so many stories and they kind of change them up to be a little more typical. We see it all the time.
See, but
That's
like
what they do.
if you look with the Deadpool Wolverine, they literally address the difference in attitude and tone of the X-Men. When's the last time you watched an Avengers movie where someone walked away angry and went to go get drunk because it was annoyed of the team? That never happened to the Avengers, but it happens with the
Yeah,
X-Men
it
Wolverine.
happened in Fox version because Fox was treating that property the way it should have been treated. MCU won't do that.
No, Fox did not always treat X-Men the way it was supposed to be
They
treated. They treated it sometimes, and sometimes they got it right.
no, no,
But
they
what I'm
always
saying
got it
is,
right. They just
by
got the execution wrong. That's a difference. There's a
but
difference.
doing Deadpool Wolverine in the MCU now is letting you know, like, we're going to do
That
that. We are aware of
is
what
a
makes the X-Men work.
Fox movie. I don't want to hear anybody say MCU. That had nothing to do with MCU. They just plastered Marvel on it. That was a pure Fox property by the people who worked for Fox, worked on this movie twice before. Nothing to do with Ken Feige. Not a fucking thing. Nothing. He put his name on it. That was a Deadpool film. That was a Fox film with,
But the
and that
Feige
was
choice was to allow
littered
it to
with
be
Fox
what it
characters.
was,
Right.
but with varnishes of the MCU. So now you do that where you're like not the
If
style,
Deadpool
but
hadn't
the
existed,
varnishes, the things that make it
yeah.
a good X-Men movie in the
If
MCU.
Deadpool hadn't existed ever before, and the MCU decided to do Deadpool, we will never get what we got. You know it, and I know it. That will never we never got an original Deadpool from them. It just would not happen.
No, I
But the
understand that,
essence
but
is there. He's a funny
but
guy.
that's what I'm trying to
But it
say is
wouldn't
that
work because
they
that's
can.
not what they do. That's not
If
what
you
they
have
do.
any if Feige has any awareness of anything, it's that certain tones work for certain properties, and if we're gonna do the X-Men, just like the Daredevil, they were in the middle of trying to reboot it. Like, oh, you know what? We're kind of stupid. Let's fix it and make it back the way it was to Netflix. I feel the X-Men tonal wise,
They
the
are
way
making it
what makes
better.
X-Men work
It
is
doesn't
like
mean they're
that.
making like the Netflix. I know they're saying that. They can say what they want. I just know what they said before and what we've gotten before. Status quo. That's what they do, right? And they seen now. So now you're totally copying exactly what another network did. They're not doing that with X Men, dude. They're not copying what Fox did, dude. I'm sorry, they're not. It's not gonna happen. They're doing their own version of the MCU version of this. Is what they do. That's what they're going to do, and it's gonna be fine, and we're gonna enjoy it, and it's gonna be cool as shit. It really is. It's just not gonna be the X Men that we know, and the way X Men should be. If we're gonna get a PG-13 rated Deadpool, great. I'll give it an A. Rated R Deadpool is A plus plus. There's a difference. There is like
I guess we'll have to see. I mean,
yes, in fact, there's a lot of good movies out there. Some are just better than the other. Doesn't mean this movie sucks. This movie's better.
Sure.
It's just a good movie. It's what it could have been. How many movies talk about, man, if they only did that and fuck. Shang-Chi's a good example, right? What did the third act?
Yeah.
The third act was tight.
Third act, you fall apart.
What did they do third act? MCU the third act like they do every other. That's what they
But
do.
once again I defer to that. I feel like it's a problem of them just not knowing what they were doing during that time period.
But that was still when they weren't shit yet. They were still, and Shang-Chi was still a good movie.
It was still a good
Right.
movie, but like
Exactly, right?
the third act
but it could have
suffered
been great.
compared
But
to.
that could have been like, oh man, that could have been like top 5. You know,
But
right?
I feel like that was in the phase of like, let's just do what we do because that's what people want instead of going, no, do something interesting and new. And I think now they realize we have to do interesting and new.
That's what they do. They haven't given us anything interesting new. That's never happened for 30 some movies.
I feel like because of everything that has happened, we're gonna start getting a little bit more interesting and new. Not completely like we're just gonna be a gritty like Joker take. Like we're not gonna get
They're
that.
not doing that, obviously.
Right, but I think there's gonna be a lot of like tonal perspectives and playing with like these are heroes in spite of the fact that people don't see them as heroes. I think they're absolutely gonna do that, especially with the X-Men.
They absolutely could if they reboot everything.
I disagree,
agree.
and that's the thing.
I'm agreeing with you.
There's many things that you keep wanting to reboot. It's not going to be a full-on reboot. So
They'd have the capability to do it, but it has to be done in a certain way. What I'm saying, how it's currently constructed, there's not a thing God Himself can write anything to make this make sense as it should be. If you reboot and start over, you can do it exactly how it should be. That's the point. Give me the rated R Deadpool. I'm gonna get PG-13. I'm gonna like it.
They're not going to do that because they like
That's
people like
what
me
they
want to
do.
see the X-Men interact with the Avengers, interact with the Fantastic Four. We want to see those interactions.
I got a feeling that fans think that the studio actually gives a fuck. They don't. They don't. I'm telling you right now, they don't give a fuck. I know. I wish a lot of Star Wars fans wish a lot of things too. How's that working out? It doesn't exist. It doesn't work. They never listen to the fans. They don't give three fucks. They do movies what's best for them. That's gonna bring in the most money, which is why MCU focus on this here. I get it. It's a good approach because that's how you get paid, and that's the bottom. That's all that matters. Well, when
Sure.
that Scorsese, you're complaining about the roller coaster ride, that brings in the money. They don't give a fuck about the art. They don't give a fuck. And I wouldn't either. I understand that. I'm not saying that's wrong. That's a good approach, and that's what they do because they want to continue that train. Get it back on track. Let's continue to do what worked, right? And what did work? What worked? The first three phases worked, right? And that's exactly the approach they're gonna take with X Men because they can ill afford to mess that up, right? It's a big investment, so they're gonna give a status quo, and that's good. It's good, no doubt. I'm gonna like it. We're all gonna like it. I hope anyway. But back of your head, you're thinking, man, this could have been here. And that's gonna be the difference between these kind of movies, as action movies in this universe, as opposed to rebooting it, where you can have an empty canvas and really paint that picture you want to paint without having to be handcuffed by what's coming out in the next film with Iron Man or whatever the hell, Thor, and we get tied into and that's what they want to. This huge problem with this universe is you're handcuffed, which is why you can't get a good Blade movie. Again, they've proven that. They're telling us they can't get a good Blade. I'm not telling you. They told us that very clearly. They can't do it. They're handcuffed, man. That's the problem. They have to follow the sandbox that they've created, right? You can't paint outside the lines when it's all within the same sandbox. It just doesn't work. It does not work with these kind of characters. That's what Blade's not getting done. And the Blade, they're showing him in some other stupid fucking movie, and it's a watered down version of Blade. It's exactly what we're gonna get. We're gonna get a watered down version of Blade instead of a true rated R hardcore Blade, which you and I both want to see very badly, right? Right? Let's be honest.
Right.
We're not gonna get that. I think that's been proven because it's hard to fit in that world. It is, man. This was it Work by Night? That worked. It's
Yeah.
his own thing. They have the proof right there, and they haven't given us but one special like that. One. That's not what they do, man. They do what they do. They do your Miss Marvels, right? Hawkeye, Echo, whatever. They do all that. Wanda, whatever. Which is Agatha, right? That tone is classic MCU tone,
Yeah.
right? In a show that could have very worked very well in a much dark, and probably worked better as a darker, really more serious tone. It really could have worked that way, I thought. But they chose to MCU it. Not a bad thing, but they stuck to what their MO. That's what they do, Eric. That's how they operate, right? Even the villain like Agatha's supposed to be, she's still propped up as someone that's likable. It's not Penguin. DCU did the exact opposite of what MCU has ever done, right? Prop up a
Right.
villain and really make him so hated, right? That's how you do a villain. That's not what MCU does. Agatha proved that. I'm not saying it's not a good show. I haven't seen it, but I've seen the episodes. I know the tone of the show. It's very light, good, no doubt, family friendly, great. Out of a character who's a villain, it doesn't work, dude. Sorry, that's not how you do a villain. That's how you do a hero, right? And that's what I mean. Let's be honest. And again, nothing wrong with that, but that's what they do. That's what they're known for, and I get it. That's what I'm saying. For you to think they're gonna change that all of a sudden because the X-Men, you're dreaming. It's not gonna happen. It's never gonna happen. Sorry, you know.
Well,
Which is unfortunate,
like I
but
said,
I think it's still, don't get me wrong. I think it's still gonna be fun and cool to watch. I really am, and we're gonna enjoy it. Right? It's just not gonna be what you want. It's gonna be a good meal I prepare as opposed to going to Chef Ramsay. He gave me a great fucking meal, right? It's a difference. I like what I cook, but I'm not Chef Ramsay. X-Men's gonna be fine. It's gonna be a good home cooked meal. We're gonna enjoy it. We're gonna sit back and, man, Eric, that was so cool, and oh my god, and then Cyclops, a good Cyclops. We haven't seen a good Cyclops yet. Good Cyclops and a cool storm. Great, but we're gonna say, I just wish, and that's the regret. That's what I'm saying.
well,
That's the regret. That sucks because I love X Men. We all do.
I love X Men too.
We
I know
all
you're
do.
passionate about it.
Yep.
I get I'm passionate about
Yep.
it too. I have a little bit of, I guess, stupidly enough, I have a little bit of
You're an
optimism
optimist,
about
and
it. So
and I'm all for it. But we've seen enough in MCU to know what's what, right? Like after a while, okay, someone is who they are, right? I mean, it is maybe people make mistakes, but if you continue doing the same mistake for all this time, okay, dude, that's who you are, right? And that's fine, right? That's you're showing us who you are, good or bad, and everything moving forward, you expect them to continue that behavior. So the MCU, they're gonna do what they do, and we love MCU. We all love the MCU. Not recently, but we did. That's what I'm saying. And they're gonna take they're gonna take X-Men just and water it down to a certain degree, right? They can do some things that you're talking about. It just won't be the same effect. It won't, because it's a world that's created that doesn't allow for that to really hone in, right? To really get to the essence of what X-Men are really about, right? And it's hard now because you can't use the Holocaust anymore, right? That was a big part of it, right?
right,
That was a
yeah.
right. They can't, which
Well,
Magneto's like a thousand
I've
years
nerd
old. I don't know if they can.
I've nerd thought about this, and the only thing I think is that because he controls iron magnetism,
He ate
iron in the
slow.
bloodstream, maybe it's he ages slowly and that kind of stuff. That's the only workaround I could kind
Right,
of
but
think
it
of.
doesn't. It's a hard buy. It's a hard buy.
It's a little bit of a hard
It really
buy,
is,
but once
right?
again, if I just created a whole situation where the government's trying to appropriate mutants, and if you know they're traitors,
I
it
mean,
still
if you gave him
works.
like Wolverine thing and changed a little bit the character and his age is slow, I guess that could. But I'm saying right, but what are we talking about, right? Maintaining that part of X Men which really helps shape,
Yeah,
right? Look at you the route you have to go through to maintain that. If they do that for Magneto, because
right,
that's his essence. What
right.
is he humanity? Because they trapped him before. That works. That's the S. That's what I'm talking about, right? It's hard enough now because you can't, unless you said in the '90s or whatever. The Holocaust was way long ago, dude. It was 80 years ago. And
Yeah,
if you were born, so you're at least 100. That's what I'm saying. So
yeah.
what do you do now to motivate that? Which is why I think maybe having something like a Black Magneto will really work,
I mean, we've talked about
right?
this. I think it works as a good
You know what I'm
idea
saying,
too.
right?
Yeah.
He lived in his 60s and serving a.
Uh-huh.
That makes sense, right? He was
You
late.
can even make it. You can even make it that he was also experimenting during like the Tuskegee experiments, and they thought he killed him, and he came back, and
That
so
could
that
work,
was
right?
because
Right.
of his mutant power.
But
Yeah,
that's the motivation. It's not because the government hates him. That doesn't work.
right.
No, no. There's a really grown, and that's what I'm saying. Can they do that? That's hard to do. It really is. Um, in this world of getting, because yeah, it's a deep subject. You want to just gloss it over, right? You want to really take a
Right,
deep dive, and the Holocaust. You just not. It's not laughing matter. You don't gloss it.
right.
That's some serious shit. Civil rights movement that time in the '60s. He'll be what, like probably 60 now, maybe if he was like 20, right? Maybe. That works, but I don't know if they can pull it off in this world. This is what I'm saying,
Yeah.
right?
So it's a little
Because
trickier. Like I
what if
said,
take that away?
can you
What if
do it?
Magneto? What if
Yes.
Magneto doesn't have that backstory? Don't tell me it doesn't change the essence of the X Men.
It changed. Absolutely changed the essence of
Exactly
it.
what I'm saying, right? And that's what I'm
But
afraid of.
I
They
will
need
say,
that. That's very important. That's very important.
to kind of give my point, in the Ultimate X Men, in the one in the 2000s, Magneto did not have the backstory. His father survived the Holocaust, and so he got all those stories from his dad. And then when he saw what was going on in mutants, he's like, "I'm not gonna let that what happened to my dad happen to
It's not as
me." So
powerful. It could work.
it
It's not as powerful
it,
because you
it
want
is
him to
it
go
is
through it like
it is
person like
it is legacy trauma.
fair. It's not, but it's not. It could work. It's just not as impactful, right?
No, I
You know,
absolutely. But
it's hard.
you
It's
put
hard to do that. It really is. Not just for anybody, right? I don't have an answer for it. I'm
right.
just saying, I don't know. That's why it's so hard to do. If they bypass that in some way, that's a disaster. If he's just Magneto, he's a villain X Men because he's evil. Oh my God, dude, that's that.
Yeah,
You see what I'm saying?
that would be the biggest ball
That would
drop
be a
is if you just make him
huge bummer.
evil. Yeah.
And I think because of the tendency to really pump up the hero, they may kind of let that go. And I think that would be.
I don't know about that. It's too important. You
Yeah,
can't
I
just let that
agree. I
go.
agree. That's what I'm saying. So what I'm saying, if they lose that, oh my God, from the jump, it's over.
Yeah.
I don't care how cool it is. I'm sure it's cool fight. That's what I'm saying. But that's what makes X Men special. You know what I'm saying? That's a separate X Men from any other. Like the Kingpin, just a guy, right? He's an evil
Right.
guy. Great, I get it. But damn, dude, Thanos worked because Thanos had a really good backstory. That worked. That made sense. If Magneto doesn't have that, oh my God, dude, you can forget about that. I swear to God.
Yeah.
If they get a white guy, the only thing I will think of is the Jew thing that you said his father. That makes sense.
Right.
That makes sense. But I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I guess it'd be his grandfather, really. I don't know.
No, you could make his
Let's assume his
father the
father.
same age as
So
Magneto was in the
let's assume
first
he's a
movie. As a
kid.
kid,
He's a
he had a
kid.
child, and then he's like 30
That's
now.
fair. No, it can happen. It can
Yeah,
happen. And when I say mid-pack, because he won't have like the tattoo, the tattoo of
you
the
can
the
even
number.
do a thing. You can
You know,
even do a thing that like when his father died, he got those numbers tattooed
that
on him
that's I was I
in
was about
memory of
to
his
I was about to
father.
say that he did to himself. I get it doesn't hold as much water, but you can get away with it. You can get away with it, and that could work. But this won't hold. It won't
Right.
be as impactful because you get. That's why I like going. Get someone who's black and let him go through that
And
other
but here's the
turmoil,
thing
right?
too: if you're raised with that trauma in your head, when you look at everything that's going on in the world now in different
Sure.
countries and in this
Yeah.
one country, you could be like, oh wow, it's happening everywhere,
Yeah.
and that paranoia offsets you, and so now you have that legacy trauma and the paranoia of what's going on today. Now you got yourself a story.
No, no. From his side, yes, from his side, but that's just one of it. It's got to be
Right.
both. But that's hard. That's a hard part. I'm very, very curious how they approach that. I really do. I don't want to be some.
It's gonna take the courage, the balls
It still
to
take a lot of balls to do that.
put a big mirror on the world and go, this is why there's a Magneto,
Right,
and
and
it's
I
everything.
don't know the MCU is ready to go a route. I really don't. That's not what the.
Oh man, I would love for them to go
No,
that
no, I
route.
would too. But that's not like I'm saying. That's not their mo. That's what I'm saying. That's not what they do. They're fluffy, and that's okay. It's
Right.
okay to be fluffy. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. To do that,
But X-Men has got to be a little
that
harder.
that's what
It
I'm.
can't
That's
be so
that's
fluffy. It's
exactly
got
what
to
I'm
be a
saying,
little
right?
harder.
We can still get good X Men. We're just not gonna get.
Right.
Fox can do
And
what they
and
want.
I feel like
Let's see.
they
Let's see.
they're putting enough time and care into this to make it
I hope
harder.
they're not rushing. That's why I'd rather not see him now. Just wait till Secret
But like I
Wars.
said,
You know.
it just goes back to the original part of this whole
Mm-hmm.
the argument debate that we've been having. I don't think we're going to see X-Men. I think we're going to see
We're gonna see me,
mutants
but I mean,
that
but
will
those,
become
but
X-Men.
same thing. I'd rather not see anybody. Just bring him out. Secret Wars. Something happens, or what mutants are created. Whatever it is you're gonna spin on it. Fine. But again, but if they go the route like they were created, then that takes away the whole Magneto angle. Because I heard somewhere,
What do you mean they were
like
created? I don't understand.
like I heard somewhere, not set in stone, but like the blip. People came back from the blip and messed with their genes or whatever, and they became mutants, right?
Oh, I see what you're
Right.
saying. I see what you're saying. Yeah,
That
yeah.
will kill everything about Magneto.
I don't think they're going to do that
I'm not saying
because
that they
Namor
are.
and Miss Marvel both
Right.
said they were
I mean, they were
mutants and they were
mutants,
not
but were
blips.
they really mutants? I mean,
But they were not. But they also weren't blips. Is what
no,
I'm
I
saying.
know, but
So
I'm saying
that
like this. That's what I heard. I guess that's not.
right,
I'm just saying this idea was around. That's a terrible idea. That's a horrible idea if that's the case. That ruins everything, and then right there, that kills Magneto.
Yeah.
Period. Right. It just doesn't work. So I'm afraid they do something like that. My God, if that's true, oh my God, dude. That's a disaster.
That'd be a bummer.
That's a disaster.
That'd be a bummer.
That'd be a bit. The guys, what are you doing, right? But I'm afraid that are we really sure they're gonna come out with that home run? I don't know. I don't see it, and that's my afraid because I love that. If there's any other property, do what they want. I don't give a fuck. Leave Deadpool alone, which they did. Leave X-Men alone, which they're not. There's a difference. Let's see. But no matter what, I'm still gonna like it. Well, as long as it's well made. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But we're still gonna like it. I want to love it. I really want to love it.
I believe you'll be pleasantly surprised, and you'll like it more than you expected. I don't know if you're gonna love it or not, but I think you're. I feel they will because they know how important this IP is. That's just me though. But we gotta see where business and creativity hit the road and see what comes out of it. So we gotta see that there too. All right, so all right. Oh, that's it.
Oh
We're
wait, I
done.
think I'm back. Am I back?
Oh, okay, I can't hear you.
You can't hear me? Oh, sorry, I have some issues. It's being recorded, so I'm having audio issues. Go ahead and.
Okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
All right, so wrap up. You
I hear
wrap
you
up.
better now.
You wrap
No, I'm
up.
good. No, I can hear.
Oh,
hear
there you
you. You got me?
Okay.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
couldn't
sorry
hear
about
you
that. I had
before.
something unhooked and the audio went out, so my bad. Sorry. It was Magneto. See, Magneto's already there. This is
That's
motivation.
right.
Take our audio
The spirit
away.
of Magneto's like, both
That's
of
the
you,
motivation. He's there to take audio away. Oh my God, this movie's gonna be a disaster.
See, you're both talking, but you're not hearing each other.
That's the problem. We can't hear. We just.
This is the Xavier Magneto conundrum right here. They're both
Nobody
talking,
wants to listen.
but they're not listening. So
I hear you.
that's it right there.
I'm not listening to you, man. Damn those X-Men. Uh, that said, those are the nuggets for the week.
Guys, thank you for tuning in for this extra long pontification debate on the passion of nerd, because that's what we do in Nerdsplaining. We talk,
All nerds.
we put out
This is
there.
what nerds do. This is really what they do.
And this is all we need is some guy. As soon as me and Jose finish talking, we need a third person to go. So you guys are gonna buy those books or what? Like, that's what it should have been at the very end of it. You're getting it right here. That's what we do, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate all the love and support. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Nerdsplaining Pod on Instagram, at Nerdsplaining _ on X for as long as we stay there. Don't forget to go to ericdasilva.com, ERICDASILVA. Listen to original audio episodes. Get my album, Durably Offensive. Go to dangersquad.com. My combo's coming out. We just finished our Kickstarter. We got our funding goal. We're actually talking to printers right now. We're going to try to get everyone's books out by Christmas. We also have another announcement. NE1 Publishing is going to be carrying digital copies of Danger Squad starting December 11th. So if you want to pick up a copy for a friend, you can get it there as well. More information to come about some other stuff we're doing as well. Really cool stuff as well. And great stocking stuffer that you can set on the phone and tablet. So it's a stocking stuffer would ever been a stocking stuffer. Keep more space for the physical copy that you will get later on. And so more stuff coming as well. Guys, thank you so much for the love and support. Let us know what you think about the X-Men, the Penguin. Let us know what you think about what's going on with Star Wars. We want to hear our opinions as well. Guys, as always, I've been Eric Da Silva. This has been Jose Romero. We have been Nerdsplaining. And if you don't know, now you know. Boom.